Hey, trendies, trendsetters, and my trendy tribe. How are y'all? I'm gonna say hello for a little bit. Y'all, it's a lot. I didn't realize his deposition actually went 2 hours, about 2 hours longer than Zen Gardens. So it's a lot. So I don't want to. I'm trying not to hold y'all for all night, but it's a lot. So so let me start from the bottom. Just make sure I say who had just came in. And on my delay, who I see is, hey, Linda Gamble. How are you? Hey, Shan. Hey, Phyllis. Hey, Pinky the housewife. Good to see you. Hi, Annette. Hey, Miss Cutie Pie. Hey, Mama V. Hey, my Leo sister, Live, Laugh, Love. Hey, Demita Joe. Hi, Brandon Jones. Welcome to the chat. And I probably already said it, but hey, Annette, I'm going to say it again. Hey, Minerva, how are you? Hi, Gloria. PN2 Raw is part of the live gang today, not the replay gang. Okay. Nothing wrong with replay gang. Hi, Diane Davis. Hey, Sheila Massey, you snuck in here. I didn't even see you. Yeah, you already in timeout. Hey, okay, I think I said Arletta already. Oh, my God. That's how bad my memory is, that fast. Hi, T. Marie. How are you? Hi, Nicole James. Hi. Okay, did I get Professor Anita Baker Joe? Hey, Billy Williamson. Okay, okay. All right, y'all. It's a lot of reading. I promise you'll be like, okay, I see why she was moving it along. So please don't take any heart to it. I think I do some announcements. For those that think the intro's too long, I'm going to start trying to put a timestamp for the replay gang, but we are live. The whole point on why people actually came over here is because, we interact with each other. So I'm sorry if that's not your thing. Thank y'all for the 2K subscribers. Thank you so much. I hit 2K yesterday, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Trendy Tribe. I appreciate y'all. You get your art from Sketchy Saturdays. We got a Love and Marriage Huntsville live watch along this 2 days from now. So I'll get that link dropped to y'all. This is some of the art that's available to our Trendy Tribe members. We did Steve Harvey most recently. Sean is one of our trendies. She's going to tell her story of being a parent of children with autism, a mother of children with autism, and she's going to offer some resources along with her personal story. Obviously, you know we're here to go over Marsau's deposition today. And I already got the link for part 3 up because that is going to be Marsau asking for his contractor's fee and the reason he thinks he can based off of the deposition of Zen Gardens. So that's part 3. Okay. This is the fun timeout. This is but 41 fits the head of it. We got Sheila and Shan with permanent chairs. I will be reading from a publicly available document, and I am using it for comment, reporting, possibly a little teaching. Probably more people will be teaching me in the chat than I'm teaching on this one, and research. So I'm using it under fair use. So, you know, y'all out there that don't like it, don't start with me. But we got a lot to talk about, y'all. Oh my gosh. And we're going to go through it. If you saw part 1, that's basically the setup for part 2. So, okay. I'm going to say hi to a few more people. And, thank you to my new trendies. Hold on. I see a new alert. Is that the Tracy Williams? Welcome to the Trendy Tribe, Tracy. Thank you so much. But yes, thank you. And Veronica Smith, if you come in here, I tried to come back on when you sent me a $20 super chat. I was like, oh my God. I tried to come back on, didn't realize I was muted. I'm just sitting there talking to silence. But I did say thank you, and I just want to say thank you again now. Let me see. I'm trying to scoop down to where I see if I see some other names. Y'all, I really appreciate the support y'all have been giving me, and just thank you again. Shout out to Tea Talk with your girl, here for hot tea, Black Titanic, of course, Black Titanic for laying the foundation and staying on it, and then that therefore allowed us to, us to pick it up and keep talking about it and keep it in the limelight. Hey, Louisiana Chick 318, how are you? Is this Leo chat over here? Yes. Oh yes, Leo. We are annoying over here, but I do have all the zodiac lips, y'all, I promise. So, but hey, Claudia. Brandon said, Trenton, you my first live. I'm enjoying you so detailed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Brandon, I'm telling you, you're speaking to my heart. Hi, Robin Davis. Hey, Mama V. Hey, Terry T. Baby Davis. How are you? Hey, Vernita Salter. Thank you so much. Yes. And y'all are steady climbing me up there too. Didn't even let me look at 2000 too long. Right? I'm going to let you know. Hi, Essence Tender 1. Hi, Tracy Williams. Hey, Miss Dion 42. Let me see. Okay, y'all. I know what y'all are here for. I'm trying. Hey, Black women are in the building. How are you? Again, if y'all don't like the greetings, Chit Chat is an unofficial mentor to me. She didn't ask for the job, but that's what it is. That's what she got it. It's too bad. So I like how she did the greetings because I felt welcome the first time she did it. So I like trying to get my greetings out too. Again, if you replaying, just skip ahead. Hey, Tracy Williams. Hey, Lil Paulette and the gang. I like that. Hey, now, everyone. How y'all doing? I like that. Hey, Taisha J. How are you? Just a wonderful person on her own, but she does mod for Tea Talk with your girl. Let me see. Hey, Gigi. And if you're a content creator, because the chat is possibly going to be busy today, just as a blessing, nothing bad, please drop your link if you're a content creator. And yeah, I just really appreciate y'all. Hi, Mika. Okay. Hey, Patricia T. Strawbird Taffy. Okay. Hello. Gemini Goddess. Love the name. Okay. She said, I'm here for the tea. Yes. Okay, y'all. Let me pull up the document because we got to get in there. Oh, okay. I got a couple things for you. You are going to go through a few emotions. Some of them you're going to be laughing. I'm sorry. You are going to be laughing because some of this is ridiculous. Some of it you're going to start getting mad. You are going to get mad because Miss Van is mentioned in here. Hotel Broketail is mentioned in here. And then honestly, as you see this flow, you'll see how I'm like, poor Joy and Bugs the Barber. I know all things are, and yes, all things are alleged, and in my opinion, the way I read this and just looking at how they have had to talk to this man and looking at how an attorney is even having trouble talking to this man, I am so sorry, Bugs and Joy and anybody else that has just but everything is alleged. It's in my opinion. This is just based on I'm reading from the public document that I it is available publicly. Okay. So I am not stating anything as fact. I am just stating my own opinion based on what I'm observing. I have to reiterate that. Hey, first time on my channel. Hey, yeah, thank you, T-Talk. Well, thank you for sending people T-Talk, I should say. I have linked T-Talk, Black Titanic, and Here for Hot Teas links in my description box. I think it's the videos where each of them shouted me out. I just want to say thank you. So I just want to make sure, that's one of the ways. Okay. Oh, please keep the chat within YouTube community guidelines. So if you have some words you're trying to say, keep it creative. Do not write the actual word, please. What else? Be nice to each other in the chat. It's good energy over here. And because there may be a lot of questions or comments as you start seeing what Marsau says, I'm trying to give priority to Trendy Tribe, Super Chats, and because there's so much time it will take. That's really the thing. He doesn't say a lot, but it's a lot of questions for him, in my opinion. So, and he finally starts answering a little bit longer towards the end. So it won't let me drop my channel link. What? I don't have it set any kind of way that it shouldn't. So Pinky, test yours out and see if it lets you drop your link, Pinky. Because I don't. Thank you for subscribing, Joyce Jones. Yeah, there shouldn't be any blocks for links on my end. Maybe I don't know. But the mods will try to drop your link too, Lil Paulette. Just keep letting Linda and Shan know when 41 Fit comes in here, because we also try to do it for y'all. It's just busier than normal. As a blessing, it's a blessing. Okay. I hope Black Titanic is able to comment. I don't know what's been going on. Black Titanic, I checked everything. You are not blocked on none of my stuff, so I don't know what's going on. But yes, because that is our foundation. So, okay. All right, y'all, let's get to this document, and I will just try to keep a lookout for the comments. And like I said, and chat, if y'all will keep people up to date that are coming in that are new and trying to figure out what the heck is going on, please let them know. You can never drop your link. The mod always does it for you. Okay, we're going to have to figure it out. This day is a crowded day, and I'm so sorry. We're going to figure it out, but the mods got y'all. They're going to try to get y'all. So just let them know, because we do try to drop people's links here. Hey, who said that? All right, y'all. Did you save yesterday's live? We mean save it? Oh, I had a live yesterday in the evening, PN2 Ross. That's the one I had. I didn't have it at lunchtime. Okay. All right, y'all. So Scholt Industries. This is Scholt versus Zen Gardens. Scholt is the initial plaintiff, but Zen Gardens is now a defendant and counterclaim plaintiff. Okay, this deposition of Marsau began at 9:59 in the morning, and I think it didn't end until right before 5 p.m. that day. Okay, he's difficult. In my opinion, he is difficult, y'all. Okay, let me get y'all caught up. I don't like how it's sitting. Hold on. Why got so much white space over there? I'm gonna make it smaller just in case, more for screenshot purposes, just in case. Okay. All right, y'all. Let's go. So I did not have my cute color code because I finished reading 20 minutes before this live started. So I started color coding cute, then it starts being just one highlight. But most of the time, if you see a Q for question, that's Zen Gardens attorney. And if you see an A for answer, that's Marsau Scott. And if you see witness, that's also Marsau Scott answering. Okay. All right. Yeah, just okay, it's not letting you either, Pinky. It might be a setting I have. I'll have to check on it. I don't know, but Shannon and Linda, they'll drop your links though. So Pinky, Lil Paulette and the gang so far. Live Laugh Love. Yes. Okay, I see Shannon dropped your link. Okay, all right. We got my mods in here. They got us. Okay, y'all, let's get started. Okay, Mr. Rogers. So, Mr. Rogers, I'm not going to keep saying it. I'm just going to start. Eventually, you'll hear it because it'll be a question answer. But we're going to start out until y'all get familiar. Mr. Rogers is the attorney for Zen Gardens. So, Mr. Scott, would you state your full name for the record, please? His name is Marsau Javon Scott Sr. Okay. He says, if I ask you something that you don't understand, if you will stop me and tell me, and I'll try to clear it up. Okay. This is where Marceau's already being difficult. He's nodding his head, knowing that the woman, the court reporter, got to type what he say, and he nods his head. And so the attorney says, Brooke is going to be writing down everything that I say to you and everything that you say to me. And so in order to make sure we've got truly what your answers are intended to be, we'll need you to answer out like yes and no and not get into uh-huhs and uh-uhs and things of that nature. He did say things of that nature. If during the course of this thing, we get into kind of a conversational mode and, we slip up and maybe start doing uh-huhs and uh-uhs, I may point at her. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to get you to answer out, okay? He nods his head. The man just told him to speak out. I'm telling y'all, the tone, this is not, the attorney says this is not a torture session. I'm just here to get some information. The good news for you is I have a 60-year-old bladder, which means that I have to take a break fairly frequently. And I also smoke, so I like to take a break about every hour. But if you need a break at any time, tell me and I'll be happy to accommodate you. Okay. So first question up, where do you live? He said, Madison, Alabama. How long have you been there? I've been there approximately 4 years. All right. The attorney says, have you ever lived in Nashville? He said, no, I have not lived in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. Are you from Huntsville originally or Madison County? No. Where are you from originally? Pontiac, Michigan. So you grew up in Pontiac, go to high school there? Yes. I went to high school in Pontiac, Michigan. Okay. And then he says, what brought you south? Marsau says education. I giggled when I saw that. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So you went to college down here. Marsau said yes. Okay. Now, are you married? He says yes. And so he said, what's your wife's name? And they redacted her name, but y'all, her name's going to be all up and through this thing later, just spelled out. So I don't understand why they redacted it here. They're public figures. We know it's Tisha. Does she have, or is she from the Huntsville, Madison County, or North Alabama area? No. Okay. Is she also from Michigan? No. Okay. Where is she from originally? Bessemer, Alabama. He is a smart A. Jefferson County, he said, backing up a little bit, does redacted live with you at blank? He says yes. So I'm guessing he asked did Tisha live with him at their address. And the attorney says, okay. And do you have any children other than redacted? And Marsau says, yes. All 3 of the children live with you at redacted, correct? He said, yes. Okay. Do you have any relatives that live in North Alabama? This is where he started getting real difficult. And by that, I mean, if you go from I-20 that crosses the state north, do you have any relatives that are in Alabama? Marsau says, I can't answer that question. The attorney says, you just don't know? Marsau says, correct. Attorney says, okay, most of your family, are they from Michigan? Marsau says, yes. Oh, and my Detroiters, if we have any Detroiters in here, you know how they all, Marsau's supposed to represent Detroit, but when I looked at the map, Pontiac is not Detroit. And when he was asked another clarifying question later on this deposition, he clarified, no, not Detroit, Pontiac. So I'm just saying, because he's supposed to represent Detroit. So I was just wondering, but I was like, I ain't gonna call it because I don't know. That ain't my area. Get on I can't stand it, right? Pontiac is an hour away from Detroit. Okay. All right. He said, the attorney says, and redacted family, are most of them from the Birmingham area, Bessemer, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, that area. He says, I can't answer that question. The attorney says, okay. The attorney has to talk to Marsau's attorney. He says, Alan, for jury purposes, I need to know that information so I can send you a note and y'all can just provide it to me later. Marsau's attorney says, yeah, I mean, send me a note. I can ask redacted, I guess. The Zen Gardens attorney says, yeah, we can find out. When did you graduate from high school in Pontiac, Michigan? Y'all, this is one of my favorite sections, okay? His education was a hoot and a holler for me, okay? Pontiac is not Detroit. Thank you, Sharon. He made the whole state look bad. Hey, Juan Davis. Hey, Sylvia P. I'm from Michigan, not Detroit, and my aunt live in Pontiac. It's not Detroit, okay? Thank you, T. Marie. Hey, Sexy Chocolate. All right, y'all. So education. Okay, he said, when did you graduate from high school in Pontiac, Michigan? Please keep note. Oh, there's a mini game going on too, y'all. It's only for fun in the chat. There's no prize because I'm not counting either. But just for your own fun, count how many times he says, I don't know. I can't answer that. I do not recall. Well, or there's no response, y'all. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. He said 1997 is when he graduated high school. So that's where we start off these years, 97, okay? The attorney says, did you then immediately come down to the Huntsville area to, I think I saw that you went to Alabama A&M for undergraduate. He said, no. Okay, did you take some time off between college and high school and work or do something else? No. All right, tell me, after you graduated from high school in Pontiac, Michigan, what did you do? I went to college. All right, where did you go to college? Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. How long were you at Morehouse College? Until December of 97. So he graduated in 97. He was already out of Morehouse by 97, y'all. I'm sorry. I just want to point that out. Hey, Juan Davis and P. I'm unpretentious. How are you? Hey, Flory Hook. Okay. It says, so one semester? Yes, that is correct. All right. What did you study at Morehouse? Mathematics. All right. And when you left Morehouse College, where did you go? Oakland University. Where are they located? Auburn Hills, Michigan. And that's the Detroit area, right? He says no. And that's where he says, where's it close to? And he says Pontiac. So he distinguished Detroit and Pontiac his own self. But I know he be claiming Detroit everywhere outside of this deposition, or at least that's what I see. Okay. Are your parents still living? Yes. They live in Pontiac still? No. Where do they live? My father lives in Auburn Hills, Michigan. My mother lives in Huntsville, Alabama. Do you have any brothers that live here? Yes. Who is that? And it says, I have redacted. Now, again, they're going to say Maurice's name later in this deposition, so I don't know why it's redacted. Hey, Gigi. Let me see. He couldn't get into Morehouse. Well, he claiming one semester. I like, everything said is allegedly. Please like the video. Okay, let me see. Okay. Now and the attorney, I think, smartly skips around on purpose. I really do think he's skipping around on purpose, but there is a rhyme to the reason. The education background matters because, again, Marsau is criticizing the educational background of the Shao from Zen Gardens. So just know that, okay? Like construction related. All right. So it says, did you graduate from Oakland University? No. What did you study at Oakland? Mathematics. Did you attend one semester at Oakland University or more than one? He said, I cannot answer that question. Did he live there last year? I cannot answer that question. Or the year before? I cannot answer that. I'm sorry, y'all. I skipped the whole. I forget it goes down, up, down, up. So ask about his brother. He didn't know where he lived. Where was the last place you knew he lived? Mobile, Alabama. When was the last time that you knew he lived in Mobile, Alabama? Can I answer that question? Did he live there last year? Can I answer that question? Or the year before? Can I answer that question? He worked on this project, didn't he? Was he living in Mobile when he worked on this project? No. Where did he live then? Huntsville, Alabama. When's the last time you talked to Redacted? He said May 16th, 2023. And now mind you, this is May that he's doing this deposition, just so y'all know. May of 2023. And he said this week, and he said, May 15th, 2023. Okay, so sometime this week you talked to him. Yes. All right. Do you have any uncles that live in Huntsville or Madison County or North Alabama? No. Half semester. Golly. A lot of people claim Detroit and nowhere near it. I suspect it. Okay. And for those just coming in, I'm trying to at least get to the trendy tribe members and super chats and stuff, because there's a lot, y'all. You're going to have a lot, but I promise you it's a lot of good stuff you'll be able to take away later. Hey, Mary White. Do you have any other siblings in Alabama? No. And right now, don't know where Redact is living. Yes, that is correct. I don't know. Okay, backing up. We were at Oakland University. How long were you at Oakland University? I don't recall. Did you graduate from Oakland University? No. What did you study at Oakland University? Mathematics. Did you attend one semester at Oakland University or more than one semester at Oakland University? More than one. How many more than one? I do not recall. Are you on any kind of medication today? No. Okay. You don't take any kind of medication that would interfere with your memory or anything like that, do you? No. Okay. And you're not under the influence of any other kind of drug as we sit here today that would interfere with your ability to recall or to tell the truth. Is that fair to say? Yes. Okay. And haven't had any kind of alcoholic beverage or anything like that. True? Yes. Okay. Oh, he said true. Okay. All right. So you were at Oakland University for an undetermined period of time and you did not graduate from Oakland University, correct? Correct. I'm sick of him already. I know. I know. He won't answer because they trying to cross him up. I know. That's what I said, Patricia. That's what I was thinking. Hi, Ajoy. How are you? Okay. So it says, all right, and you studied mathematics. What's the next thing? What's the next thing that you did after leaving Oakland University, whenever that was? Y'all, the movie theater's in here too, just so you know. And he said attended Oakland Community College. Okay, and do you recall when you were at Oakland Community College? I do not recall. All right, was that also located in Auburn Hills, Michigan? Yes. What did you study at Oakland Community College? I do not recall. How long were you there? Until the summer of 2000. So we done got from 97 to 2000. Do you remember when you enrolled in Oakland Community College? I do not recall. Okay, did you get a degree or anything from Oakland Community College? I did not. Okay, did you study building science while you were at Oakland Community College? No. What about while you were at Oakland University? Did you study building science while you were there? No. She's all screaming. What about Morehouse College? Did you study building science there? No. Have you ever studied architecture? Yes. When? I do not recall. Where was it? I do not recall. Was it at a university? I do not recall. How many courses would you have taken in architecture while you were studying it? Two. All right. Now going back to Oakland Community College, you say you left there in the summer of 2000. Is that right? Yes. And you went there. You went to where from there? Did you stay in school? Did you get a job? What did you do? I went to the Alabama A&M University. Okay. Here in Huntsville? Yes. All right. Do you recall when you went to Alabama A&M University, or what year and semester? Fall of 2000. What did you study at Alabama A&M? Computer science and engineering. Sorry. What type of engineering were you studying? Mechanical engineering, computer engineering, chemical engineering? What kind of engineering were you studying? Computer science. Okay, did you get a degree in computer science? No. What did you get your degree in? Business administration. Do you remember when you got your degree? Fall of 2004. So he finally got a degree from 97 to 2004. He got that degree, y'all. That's what he say anyway. Hi, Real V. I'm from Detroit. We don't claim. Oh my gosh. Hi, Ebony the best. Hey, who said that? Hi, Royal. Oh, guys, God. Hey, sounds like he didn't graduate. Girl, peeing too raw. All right. It says, okay, did you, other than Alabama A&M, during this period between the fall of 2000 and the fall of 2004, did you attend any other colleges or universities? No. Okay, did you work while you were at Alabama A&M? Yes. What did you do? Worked at a construction company. What was the name of the company? M&M Pools. Y'all, I'm going to tell you this now because I need you to know, because I need you to hear how he answering, but it has to be pulled out of him. M&M stands for Maurice and Marsau. Just so you know, that's M&M Pools. That's not some other company he went and learned under, okay? Y'all need to know that up front. You're going to see it, but you need to know up front. So M&M Pools is one of his companies, all right? Were they in the business of constructing pools, swimming pools? Marsau says yes. All right, so they would dig the holes and pour the concrete and put the decking and all that in people's yards. Yes. Okay, how long did you work with M&M Pools? 6 years. Do you have a time frame for me roughly? I cannot recall. Okay, but coinciding with the time that you were at Alabama A&M, I cannot answer that question. Okay, what position did you hold with M&M Pools? Were you a laborer or a foreman or a superintendent, or what was your position at M&M? Owner. You owned it. Okay, is M&M Pools still in business? Cannot answer that question. Are you still affiliated with M&M Pools? I cannot answer that question. Do you still own M&M Pools? No. Who is the other M? I assume one was Marsau. The other one is Maurice. Maurice, so you and your brother were in business together? Yes. Girl, I can't recall. Oh, and you don't know if he's still running M&M Pools. Can I answer that question? I'm telling y'all, I've been kicking. Except when I start getting mad again, I laugh or I'm mad. Okay, let me see. You got your degree from Alabama A&M in business admin in the fall of 2004. Have you had any other schooling, any formal education? Yes. What further formal education did you obtain? Graduate courses. Courses, not a degree. Where? University of Huntsville in Alabama. What did you study at UAH? Business analytics. Did you get a degree? No. When were you at UAH taking graduate courses? 2015 through 2017. Hey, Sean. Okay, and any other formal education that you may have had? Yes. What's that? Turner School of Construction Management. Where are they located? Huntsville, Alabama. Do they have a building or a campus or anything like that? Cannot answer that question. Where did you attend courses? At Alabama A&M University. Okay, and do you have some type of certification or something from Turner School of Construction Management, or did you just take a few courses? Which question do you want me to answer? Let's answer the first one. Yes. All right, so there's certification. Okay, now is the Turner School of Construction Management, is that affiliated with Turner Construction Company? Yes. All right, well, we've gotten through education. We'll get into employment in a little bit, but have you ever been involved in a lawsuit before this one, either personally or in any of your companies? Yes, I believe. Okay, tell me was it a personal lawsuit or was it something that your companies were involved in? Personal. Okay, what was the lawsuit about? I can't say. Were you a plaintiff in the case where you were suing somebody or did you get sued? I was a defendant. Child, he learned the school of Melo. Right, he learned at the school of melody. I can't see him winning that case. Patricia, let me tell you, after I finished reading this, y'all, I didn't get to finish reading this till right before I went live. So, oh my gosh. Hi, 1408. Wow. Marsau should now understand he is not the smartest one in the room. He should, right? Was it associated with personal injury? No. Was it a business deal that had gone sour that resulted in litigation? No. What was the nature of the case? What did they claim that you did? Had my name on a title and they were trying to clear it. Oh, that's the case that Black Titanic was at. Had my name on the title, was trying to clear it. You see how he changing, how he sorry, and I'm sorry I can't answer all the questions because I'll keep y'all here all night. I'm so sorry. Hey Cinnamon Swirl. What was I gonna say? Sorry. That's the one. He was trying to get that house back from that man that had been paying the taxes for years. That's the one I think he's referring to, that Black Titanic was in the courtroom, y'all, with the litigation. Okay, was that associated with the shopping center over on Oakwood Boulevard? No. Okay, where was the property located? And it says it's public record, 2221 Tanglewood Circle. Right, the house. Right, they already know about every lawsuit. They just trying to get you to answer questions they already know the answer to. Right. All right, so other than the title dispute, have you had any other lawsuits where you've been named personally, where you've been sued? I can't recall. And other than this lawsuit, have you ever been a plaintiff in a lawsuit? No. Either you or any company that you've had any ownership interest in? No. Have you ever been arrested for anything? Oh, this was a long one. Yes. Tell me about that. I had smoke coming out of my vehicle. I was pulled over. My vehicle was searched and I was arrested for pollution. When was that? I don't recall. Where was that? Auburn Hills, Michigan. Okay, other than a pollution arrest, have you been arrested for anything else? Yes. I was sitting at a gas station while working building in-ground pools, and I was randomly searched and didn't have proof of insurance. You were not moving? Correct. What were you charged with? No proof of insurance. That was here in Huntsville? No. Where was that? Somewhere in Michigan. Ooh, child. Hey, Soul Star Music Lover. All right. Other than the pollution charge in Michigan and the no proof of insurance charge in Michigan, any other arrests? Yes. I was following a police officer's car too closely. Okay. Any other arrests? Yes. Tell me about that. I had a license plate in my rear window and the officer could not clearly see it. Ooh. They have never arrested anyone for pollution in Michigan. That's what he pled to. Oh, thank you, Shan. It's the legal eagle. Was that also in Michigan? Yes. Okay. Anything else? Yes. What? I walked between two officers' cars while they were on official police duty. So they were parked next to each other and you went in between them with their lights off. Was that the charge? Obstructing government operation, or what was the charge? Obstructing government operations. That was in Huntsville, Alabama. Okay, so we walked between two cops and they arrested you for obstructing government operations, and that was here in Huntsville. When was that? Maybe. I can't recall. I see the laughing. I'm going 3 times. No, 4 times. Hey, hey, Gemini 1958. Yes, I'm happy to have you. Thank you. They don't arrest for this little stuff. He played them down. Shan, I was like, this don't sound like arrest worthy stuff. It's the lies for me. All right. Let's see. Any other arrests? Owning an unsafe structure. Please mark this in your brains, because this is where I'm like, okay, woo. So he got arrested for owning an unsafe structure, apparently. Where was the unsafe structure? 4101 Hunters Ridge Drive. Is that here in Huntsville? Yes. What kind of structure was it? I purchased apartment complex that had been burned and I was unaware it had citations. They couldn't find the previous owners, but once I purchased it, they arrested me. All right. Hey, Native One. Does he know they're going to investigate to use on? Yeah, he knows. He just thinks he's so smart. Yeah. Excuse me. I don't know either. Okay, let me see. Anything else? Not that I can recall. Well, let me ask this question because I don't know that I did before. But when you got your certification, he's skipping back to school. That's where, going back between skipping back to school, and he's gonna skip to the companies. And I understand his reason for doing it, like y'all said, to catch him up to see if he changes his answer. Okay. When you got your certification from the Turner School of Construction Management, when was that? 2019. And going back to your time at Alabama A&M when you were obtaining your business admin degree and you said you studied some computer science, did you take any building science while you were at A&M? No. What about while you were taking graduate courses at UAH in business analytics? Did you take any building science courses? No. Okay. Was M&M Pools, was it incorporated? Yes. And it was incorporated in Michigan. Did y'all do any pools in Alabama while you were owner and operating M&M Pools? Yes, you did. Did you have a general contractor's license while you owned M&M Pools? No. Prior to M&M Pools, had you owned or operated any other businesses? Yes. What were they? SOE Construction in Pontiac, Michigan. What was the business of SOE Construction? Construction. That was his answer, was construction. Let's see here. Of above ground, below ground, what did y'all construct? Houses? And Marsau says houses. Was it incorporated? I don't recall. And were you partners with anybody, or were you the sole owner, or what? Tell me the business structure. It was a partnership, I believe. Who was your partner? I don't recall. When was SOE Construction in business? I don't recall. How many houses did SOE Construction build? I don't recall. Do you recall whether or not you had a general contractor's license or a home builder's license from the state of Michigan when SOE Construction was operating? Yes. Yes, you recall? Yes, I do recall. And what is the answer? Did you have one? Cannot answer that question. Help me out with that. I don't understand. If you do recall, but you can't recall whether or not you had one or not, correct. Well, I can't answer that question. Why not? Those licenses don't exist in Michigan. Okay, so the state of Michigan does not have a general contractor's licensing requirement? Cannot say. You just don't know? I can't answer that. Well, do you know whether or not the state of Michigan has a general contractor's licensing requirement if you were going to construct buildings? Yes, I know. You do know? And do they have such a requirement? I cannot say. Then the Zengar's attorney said, "Let's go off the record." So so go off the record, have a talk. They come back. After you have explained to me what a general contractor's license is in Michigan, you have indicated that you have to have specific licenses to build homes, buildings, and whatnot in Michigan, correct? Marsau says, I believe so. Hey, Bad Apple, I didn't see you, but I see people saying hi. What types? Maintenance and alterations license. So he says, have you ever held any type of builder's license in Michigan? He says, yes. What types? Maintenance and alterations license. What does that allow you to do? He says maintenance and alterations. And alterations, is that like adding on to a home, or is that tearing down and rebuilding? What encompassed in alterations? I cannot say. All right. So SOE Constructions. Hi, Miss Mary. Hi, Queen Gwen. Oh, strategy. Queen Gwen. Come on now. It's Marsau. Strategy. Hi, Tanisha Breedlove. No, I'm glad you found me. Right, Pinky. All right. He said, you said that you were home builders. Is that right? At SOE Construction, that's another company. Yes. All right. Do you have to have a license to build a home in Michigan? I believe so. Is it a home builder's license? I cannot say. Did you ever have such a thing? No. All right. And you said that SOE Construction was a partnership, but you don't recall who your partner was. I recall one of the partners. Who was that? Maurice Scott. And you're saying that there were more than one or more than two partners? Correct. Do you remember how many partners there were? Can I say I don't recall? This poor lawyer. When were you working with them? I don't recall the exact dates. Give me approximately somewhere between 2000 and 2004. Okay, has SOE Construction been dissolved to your knowledge? I can't. I don't know. When's the last time you had any kind of project going for SOE Construction? Can I say? What was your position with SOE Construction? Owner. Okay, did you do any labor? Yes. Did you do any bidding on any jobs? No. Did you do any accounting for SOE Construction? No. Who was in charge of SOE Construction's checkbook? I do not recall. Okay, and you said SOE Construction had a maintenance and alterations license, right? No. Hey, Veronica Monroe. Hey, Soror D21. How are you? Sorry, y'all. StreamYard, and I'm bringing my screen back up. It booted me out. Goodness. It won't take too long, though, because it's not a video, thank goodness. There we go. All right. Hey, Bad Apple, I found you. Fake businesses. Allegedly. I can't, hashtag, I cannot say. Okay, please like the video. Okay. Let's see. Where did he? So many can I says. Did you? Okay, all right. He recalled Maurice Scott. Doesn't know how many partners he had. Hold on. I did not say that. Okay. You said SOE Construction had maintenance and alterations license, right? No, I did not say that. Did they have a maintenance and alterations license? I cannot say. Did they have a home builder's license? Yes. I'm doing fuzzy math here, but it looks like, if I'm correct, that in 2000 you would have been about 20, 21 years old. Correct. All right. Is SOE Construction the first entity that you had in the construction world where you were a partner or an owner? I don't recall between SOE and M&M. I don't recall the exact dates in that time frame, so that's why we're getting this fuzzy math. Okay, so M&M and SOE were did they kind of coexist at the same time? Yes. And they're both partnerships with Maurice, right? Yes. Okay, and did M&M have any type of builder's license that it was required to have in order to operate? Yes. What type of license? Maintenance and alterations. Okay. So they were required to have it, and did they have it? Yes. All right. So prior to SOE and M&M Construction, did you have any other partnerships or ownership or interest in any companies? No. Okay. So these would have been your first ventures, so to speak. Yes, basically. Were there any other partners other than you and Maurice in M&M Construction? No. All right. Oh, I think I see. Hey, sexy mommy at 60. All right. Now, after your affiliation with SOE and M&M, did you have what? I'm sorry. Hold on. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Sheila Evans. Sorry, I have other Sheila in here. What's the next company or partnership or entity that you may have been employed by or worked for or owned where you made money? Infinity Pools. All right, y'all. This is where I feel, in my opinion, he starts to throw Tisha under the bus. This is the beginnings of Tisha having to sit under that bus. He's so spaced out. Right. Maintenance and alterations. Yes. Okay. Patience of Job. I said that, PN2 Ross. I was telling my husband, I said, ooh, babe, like for real, this is crazy. Hey, Elisa Triplet. All right. I believe so. Infinity Pools is his other company. He said, I believe it was incorporated. M&M Pools changed the name. Oh, M&M Pools changed to Infinity Pools. Did they change ownership? Yes. And what was the change in ownership? Maurice Scott was no longer a member. So it's just you as Infinity Pools. At that, he says at that time, yeah, basically. Subsequently, did that change somehow? That became Infinity Properties. And Tisha, go ahead and take your spot under that bus, babe. I believe it's an LLC. Okay, and were you the sole shareholder? No. Who else was in it with you? I wasn't the shareholder at all. Okay, you just worked for it as an employee? Correct. All right, what was your position? I don't believe I had one. Okay, what did you do? No response. What was the business of Infinity Properties? What did they do? Were they flipping dirt, or Infinity Properties business was to purchase commercial and renovate commercial real estate? All right, did you? I'm sorry, I didn't even get that loud on the mic. So far, the case look like a fool, or he just a narcissist. Queen Gwen, I'm so confounded. I don't know. Hey, Simply Beautiful. Okay, I worked for and supported the company. All right, who owned the company? Latisha Scott. So was Latisha the president? I cannot say. Now this is his own wife, y'all. So Tisha, just take your spot. Y'all will see. I'm just gonna read. You'll see. Was she Latisha Scott at the time, or did she go by her maiden name? She was Latisha Scott at the time. Okay, so what was Latisha's maiden name? Moore. All right. We're backing up a little bit. That's what he says. Where was Infinity Pools headquartered? Where did they do business? Can I say? Did they do business in Alabama? Yes. Okay. Did they do business here in North Alabama? Yes. Did they have an office? No. Did they have any employees? Yes. Who were the employees? I do not recall. What were the employees' positions? Laborer. Were you the sole shareholder of Infinity Pools? I don't recall. So going back to Infinity Properties, you said that the owner was Latisha Moore Scott, right? He says no. Hi, Dana Allen. Thank you. He's an elbow cop. I see you, Dana Allen. Thank you. Right, Bad Apple. Allegedly, in our opinion, for real, for real. Please like the video. His Google says he has an MBA in project management. Girl, all right. Ain't what he testifying to this. I don't think he mentioned the MBA. And you were an employee, correct? No. Where am I wrong? Latisha Moore Scott doesn't exist. So Latisha Scott, that's correct. All right. So Latisha Scott is the shareholder president. What's her position at Infinity Properties? And as you listen to this, listen to how, and I know a lot of y'all have already heard the audio anyway, but listen to how he would have been speaking to Bugs, to Joy, to the other ones we haven't heard from. This is crazy. His memory has faded. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm sorry. Okay, you just don't remember, or you don't know. I don't know. Okay, and you were an employee is what you testified to, I believe. No. Well, did you hold any position at Infinity Properties? No. Did you have any affiliation with Infinity Properties? Were you a 1099? Were you a subcontractor? No. So did you have anything to do with Infinity Properties? He said, other than marry the owner? I can't. Yeah, other than marry the owner, did you sell her the company? He said yes. So you sold her Infinity Pools? Yes. And she turned it into Infinity Properties? Yes. And you didn't have anything to do with it after that? I can't answer that. Well, did you ever get a check from them? Yes. Y'all. Okay, what did they pay for? Or what did they pay you for? Services provided. What kind of services? Construction services. What type of construction services? That ranges from a wide variety of things. Okay, how many projects did you work on for Infinity Properties? 3 or 4? 3 or 4. What time frame was Infinity Properties doing business that you were receiving paychecks for? Please clarify affiliation and paychecks. I'm not kidding, y'all. He said clarify paychecks. You know what a paycheck is. I don't know how you're describing it. When you do work and you get paid for it, do they write you a check or deposit any money in your account? The term paycheck sounds like payroll, and I assume that you're saying when I get a paycheck, I get a paycheck from an employer. What I get is paid from a client is different from a paycheck. So that's how I'm interpreting. Let me make it easier. What did you get money for? Repairing. I think that was your question. Yeah. What did he do? Sorry. The blue is Marsau's attorney stepping in. Okay. Hey, it's Chrissy time. She's a content creator as well. I don't know. Okay, so sorry, y'all. I think he's okay. He got paid for repairing, so just repairing build outs at the property. You said there were 4 pieces of property. He said 4 projects that I worked on. Were there any other people who were paid for their efforts who held a similar position as yours at Infinity Properties? There was no response. Don't know. Who would know that if I wanted to find that information out? I don't know. It's not my company. Okay, so you and your wife never talked about her business at Infinity Properties, not to the capacity of the questions you're asking. Okay, well, in any capacity, yes. Okay, and so you don't know if there was anybody else that was doing something similar to what you were doing for her in the property world, purchasing and renovating commercial real estate? No response. Any of your brothers work for her? Quite certain that she had other people do construction, but I don't know who. All right, you didn't run the projects that she had other people doing? No. Did you run the projects, the 4 projects that Infinity Properties either purchased or renovated? I've ran 4 of the properties that they've done. Okay, and what and was that a purchase and renovate deal that they did? The 4 projects that you worked on? I don't know. Okay, was it a renovate deal as far as you know? Some were, some weren't. What was the first thing that you did for Infinity Properties? The first project, 4101 Hunters Ridge. And that one is the one that you got arrested for, the unsafe structure? Yes. His whole life is no response. Child, right. I know, Shin. He thinks it's funny. Yep. Hey, Luvinia Kimball. Native one. I don't know if I said hey. Hey, Mary Kelly. Okay. The attorney says, now, all right. So did you own Hunters Ridge or did Infinity Properties own Hunters Ridge? Both. Okay. Did y'all buy that? Did you have some other company or individually? Did you purchase the 4101 Hunters Ridge? No. That I don't even know how you answer no to that kind of question. Left her out to dry. All right. Who purchased 4101 Hunters Ridge? Myself and my wife. Individually, not as Infinity Properties. Not as Infinity Properties. Excuse me. Did Latisha get arrested too for owning an unsafe structure? Structure? No. Okay, so they just arrested you. All right. So how many units were in 4101 Hunters Ridge? 12. 12 units. How many buildings did the complex or in the complex? Was it just one? Yes, it was one. And you said that it had been damaged by a fire. So I assume that there was some renovation work done on that. Is that correct? Or did y'all flip it? I wouldn't classify it as renovation. What did you do? Demolish and rebuild. Now listen to his definition of demolish. did Did you have any role in the demolition of the building? Yes. What was your role? To manage the general contractor that was demolishing the building. I made myself a note. I said, this is me trending, making myself a note. I said, this is interesting because a large part of Scolt's rationale for their partial summary judgment request is that Vishal Shah did not have enough experience to oversee the general contractor, which would be Marsau. But Marsau oversaw a general contractor from ABSI Engineering. Oh, hold on. What did I say? I think I just said very interesting again. Because again, remember his educational background. We've just gone over. Okay. Who is the general contractor? I believe it was ABSI Engineering. Okay. And was the building demolished? I believe so. All right. Was it ever renovated or was it ever rebuilt? Yes. Who rebuilt it? Who was the general contractor? ABSI. Was Scholt in existence then? Scholt Industries? No. All right. What year was the Hunters Ridge project started? 2010. I know, Chrissy. I'll have to take everything right. Oh my goodness. What date was this deposition? Oh, this was in May. It was they took it on. I don't want to scroll back up, but it was in May. Like the late May, the real VB. It was in late May. Yes, a whole clown. Okay. Hold on. Did you have any ownership interest in ABSI? No. All right. What was the next project other than that you worked on for Infinity Properties after 4101 Hunters Ridge? I would say 4212 Oakwood Avenue. What is located at 4212 Oakwood Avenue? It was Hayes Cleaners. Well, did Infinity Properties purchase 42? 4212 Oakwood Avenue. Yes. And there was a dry cleaning business that was located there. Correct. All right. What happened to the building after it was purchased by Infinity Properties? It was demolished and rebuilt. What was rebuilt? The building. Okay. What type of building went up? Was it a multifamily? Remember, that's what he says he does. Multifamily. No. What was it? A restaurant. Now, was it demolished? I mean, where it was flattened and pushed off with a bulldozer and cleaned up, and then another building was constructed from an all new foundation, or was it just a renovating of that building, or how did that work? Everything was demolished besides the steel structure. New foundation was poured, some structural steel was erected, new roof, new walls, new skin, new mechanical, electrical, plumbing. That don't sound like a demolition to me, but I don't know. Yep, teacher thought it was a flex. It's a very good question, P2 Ross. So you just had some bones left and then hung the meat back on it, if that's how you wish to describe it. All right, so who is the GC on the 4212 Oakwood Avenue job? Scholt Industries. Where did that come from, the name Scholt? Okay, here we go. This is where we're getting into Scholt, and this is where he was starting to piss me off because he doesn't give Miss Van her credit. Melody is not even mentioned in here. I just want to point that out. And he gives Martell way too much credit. So I don't know what to tell y'all. I'm sorry. Just if you be creative with your words. Do not put the actual words in the chat, please, because they'll probably get deleted because YouTube be on it. Okay. Where did the name Scholt come from? Scholt and Holt. Scott and Holt. Who is Holt? It was an ex-partner, Martell Holt. Where is Martell Holt? Oh, this is funny. I cannot answer that question. Where was he last time you knew of him? In Atlanta. So on record, Atlanta. You worked at 4212 and you said Scholt was the GC, right? Correct. Please like the video, even in the bushes, y'all. Okay, that was not a multifamily. Correct. So another non-multifamily. All right. And were you or was Scholt hired by Infinity Properties to redo the building there at 4212 Oakwood Avenue? Yes. All right. What was your role? Just as the GC, or did you act as owner, or how did that work? Acted as a general contractor. Okay, so no ownership role in that one? None whatsoever. All right, what's the next thing you worked on? I believe it was 4206 Oakwood Avenue. What's that? An adjacent building. Was it on that property, or was it, or what? When? His question's getting me. Was it, what is on that property, or was when it was purchased by Infinity Properties? Retail development. So a shopping center. At that time, it was a thrift store and a barbershop. Oh, the barbershop. Hey, Tea Talk with your girl, another content creator. This is the deposition I'm reading today. This deposition occurred in May of 2023 PSR. Make sure I answer that question correctly. How many square feet was it? Which facility? 4206. I cannot say. Okay, it was one building with two retailers in it? No. Two separate buildings? One building with three retailers in it. He knew what that man was asking. One building, three retailers. Okay, was the building demolished and refurbished, or demolished and rebuilt, or what went on? It was renovated. So no demolition, some demolition. Who was the GC that did the renovation? Scholt Industries. Was it? And this obviously is not multifamily, right? Correct. Okay, so we've got 3 projects so far. What's the 4th project? 101 Lewis Lane. This is sounding familiar. That's where you live? That's correct. And is 101 Lewis Lane a single family dwelling? Yes. What was done there? Demo and renovation. Okay, it wasn't a complete teardown. Correct. Okay, all right. Those are the 4 projects. Well, did Scholt do the GC work on? General contracting work on the 101 Lewis Lane project? No. Who did that? Owner retained permits and various contractors. Okay, y'all didn't have a GC. I didn't have a license at that time. Who else have you worked with after the Infinities, or have you worked with anybody else since then? Or sorry, I'm gonna get back up to the top. I don't mind him not mentioning Mel and Mama Van because they won't be involved in this mess. They still wouldn't, even with the time frames as long. Because honestly, the stuff he's doing is after them, thank goodness. But the time frame is just not truthful, in my opinion. He mentions Mama Van, he just doesn't mention Mel. And the way he describes Mama Van, you think that she didn't really help them. That was my issue, because he does mention Mama Van. Finish a job, right? People real funny. Okay. Okay, the attorney clarifies, do you mean employed by or owned? Well, and then the that was Marsau's attorney. Getting back to Zen Garden's attorney, well, let's do employed by. Have you been employed by anybody since the infinity where you were, working for somebody else? Oh, okay, this is where it gets hilarious. Marsau says, yes. Tell me who? Target. What did you do for Target? Executive team lead. When was that? 2005 through October 19th, 2007. Okay, and was that in Alabama or in Michigan? Alabama. Okay, did it have anything to do with construction? In some capacities, yes. He should have just said no. This is so dumb. And the attorney said, how? He said construction planograms. The attorney says, what's a planogram? Marsau said, it would be an FFE, furniture, fixtures, and equipment constructing. Like store layout stuff? Yes. Okay, did it involve constructing buildings, like building from the ground up? No. Okay, all right. Any other positions that you've had where you were working for somebody similar to Target? Here's your movie theater, Monaco Pictures. She sure did. Yep. You sure did say that. What did Monaco Pictures do? Monaco Pictures do. It was a movie theater. Okay. Had these type of problems. I'm sure Holden never had these problems. Melody knows her craft and wouldn't tolerate half-a work. Right. Okay, what was that when you were in high school or something? No, the attorney thought he did Target in high school. When was that? 2007. I mean, he thought he did the movies in high school. When was that? 2007. What did you do for them? I was the general manager turned to the director of operations. All right, and was that here in Alabama? Yes. I'm going to back up 1 second now with Lewis Lane. So he's skipping back again, which I love when he does this. Was going to say 101 Lewis Lane, but it's on the corner of Lewis Lane is like right across from Papa Jack's. So going back to Monaco Pictures, you said you went there in about 2007 and you were the general manager and the director of operations. Correct. How long did you hold that position? Until he said it was like 8 or 9 years, 2007 to 2016. Then he switches it to 2015. And then he says, okay, were you working with any kind of construction capacity during this period of time, 2005 to 2015? Yes. I owned homes, owned apartment complexes. I mostly, everything that you're writing down overlaps. So pools, apartment complex, and Marsau interrupts him and says, but you weren't like, oh, no, sorry. Marsau says, so pools, apartment complex. The attorney interrupts and says, but you weren't like full-time into the construction business? Marsau said, I was. The attorney says, so you were full-time construction and working at Target and Monaco Pictures? Correct. Okay, all right. The Lewis Lane property. Do you remember when that project was going on? Marsau says, I think somewhere around 2012. And then he says, maybe 2015 or 14. I don't know. Strike it back. The attorney made clear later that Marsau cannot strike things, but Marsau, after the attorney had said strike a question, Marsau started saying strike that, and the attorney had to tell him later, you can't strike things off the record. Please like the video, and thank y'all for being here. Thank you for being here to see. This is so stupid. I'm sorry. I can't stop laughing. I'm telling y'all. Okay. He said strike it. Okay. He said while we were living at Park Square Lane, I'll tell you that. Attorney says, okay, you said that you were there at Park Square Lane. Were you renting at Park Square Lane? Yes. Okay. And then Lewis Lane, are you renting there or is that one that you own? Okay, this is where he starts. So when they rent, they're trying to say they're renting from themselves, y'all, because he says Infinity Properties owns the rental that they're renting, y'all. That's what he says. So he said, my wife and I rent from her company. Attorney says, okay, I assume there's some kind of tax break to the way that's arranged. Marsau says it's temporary and we're just in there while we're building our home. So we don't want to move back into our rental home to save money. Attorney says, all right, I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to get back focused. I'm so sorry. Attorney says, all right, so y'all are keeping the Lewis Lane property as a rental property. Marsau says, correct. And was it a rental property prior to you moving back in there? Yes, Infinity Properties rented it out. This question says, all right, and so if I understand what you told me, you're in the process of building a home now, and I made myself a note and said probably bedrock. Marsau's attorney probably melted in his seat. said correct. They're building, bedrock, y'all. And then the attorney says, all right, and is Scholt the general contractor on that? And he says Scholt will be the home builder. I need y'all in the chat to clarify construction stuff because I don't know. I understand there's got to probably a difference between general contractor and home builder, but okay. And then the attorney says, and they've got an HBLB home builder's license. And Marsau says, got GC and HBLB. When was Scholt? When did it come into existence? January 1st, 2016 is his answer. All right. And at that time, was it Scholt Industries, Inc.? Yes. Who were the shareholders of the Scholt Industries, Inc.? Marsau Scott and Martel Holt. No others? No. Were you an officer with Scholt Industries, Inc. at its formation? Yes. What offices did you hold? Vice president. And was Martel Holt president? Yes. What percentage of the shares of Scholt Industries did you own? 49%. Okay. And did Mr. Holt own the other 51? Yes. All right. And there was no other shareholders. For instance, your wife was not in, or she was not a shareholder in this, correct? Correct. Okay. Was there a secretary or treasurer or comptroller of Scholt Industries, Inc. in 2016? Can I say? Okay. Did Scholt Industries, Inc. have any employees in 2016? Yes. Who were they? Arthur Lana and Van Tracy. So they're listing. Is that Miss Van's last name? Let me stop lying on her just in case. But is that Miss Van's last name, Tracy? Because I know her Instagram is VRT. So let me know before I go further and really, I don't want to be tearing up. Hey, Janetta boy. I'm waiting for y'all's answer on that one because that depends on how I pursue the rest of this. Lies More Lies said yes. Okay. So he's saying that Miss Van was an employee. Okay. Thank y'all. I see y'all. All right. All right. What was Arthur Luna's position with Scholt? What was his job? He said, I have to say, I don't recall. Okay. What about Van Tracy? He said his position, but Marsau corrected, said her. He said, I don't recall. He doesn't recall one of the most key components of Scholt. He doesn't recall. Okay. Did they hold any office or were they just employees? This man said employees. Okay. Arthur Luna, was he any type of project manager for construction projects? I don't recall. You don't recall anything? Hey, Karma girl. You don't recall anything about his background? No. Hey, Tawana. Hey. You don't recall anything about his background? No. Where does Arthur Luna live? I don't know. Where did he live when you knew him? I don't know. Did you ever meet him? Yes. Where did you meet him? At the office. Okay. Where's the office located? At the time? Yeah, whenever you met him. It was located at 316 Cahill, Northwest Huntsville. Okay. As far as Mr. Luna, did he participate in the construction business or did he clean your office? You don't have any idea what his role at Scholt Industries was, why you gave him a paycheck? Yes. Oh, this is where it gets ridiculous because he kind of talks in circles, as you know. Okay, y'all. Do y'all know who Arthur Luna is? I might as well ask. I didn't know who that was. Does anybody know where in Mississippi Marsau working? Girl. Okay. So he says, you don't have any idea what his role at Scholt Industries was, why you gave him a paycheck? Marsau says yes. The attorney says, so you do have an idea? Marsau says, yes. I don't know what his title was. The attorney says, okay, tell me what he did. Marsau says, office work, clerical work, project management work. All duties required by management. All right. What about Van Tracy? What was her role? He said very similar. So they're office employees? He said correct. Who was in charge of the checkbook in 2016 at Scholt Industries? He answered his own name, Marsau Scott. I don't know. 5001. Right. Live, laugh, love. Karma at its finest. Hey, Joyce Jones. Yes. Okay. Who was in charge of he said himself. And Martel Holt, what did he do? This got me hot under the collar. What did he do? What was his role other than just being president? What did he do? Marsau says business development, bid on jobs, coordinate resources, expand the team, hire and fire. If you don't go sit down somewhere, when you say hire and fire, are you talking about the subcontractors? Marsau says some subs, some office workers. Did you ever have to fire Arthur Luna? No. What about Van Tracy? No. They don't still work for Scholt though. Correct. Okay. Have you, to your knowledge, did Mr. Holt ever have to terminate anybody at Scholt Industries? Not to my knowledge. Right. Marsau imaginary friend, right? Right. What about you? Did you ever have to terminate anybody that was employed by Scholt Industries? Yes. Who? Lindsay Neal and Samantha Rainbolt. Okay, 2017. What was Lindsay Neal's role? Office admin and business development. And the attorney says, I'm going to come back to Scholt here in a minute because I am curious about your work history. You've told me about Target and Monaco Pictures and Infinity Pools and properties in Scholt. You've got a television show. Yes. Are you an employee? Are you a contractor? Tell me about your television show. Who produces it? The television show is produced by Carlos King. It's on the Oprah Winfrey Network own. And he said, the attorney said, what's your show called? He said, Love and Marriage Huntsville. Are you paid to appear on the television show? This is where he does another round of weird answers. Oops. Are very poor, barely make it. Seems jumping around. Okay. Ooh. What about Gino? They said Gino wasn't part of the Scholt part. He came later. Like he might have gotten off that Fairfield project, Live, Laugh, Love. But Black Titanic said he wasn't part of the Scholt stuff. That's what Black Titanic said, if I'm understanding her correctly. And Biz on jobs, right? I thought he didn't know about the employees in there. Veronica, I'm telling you. Okay, just circles. All right. Let's see. Are you paid to appear on the television show? I can't answer that question. Maybe not enough, but are you paid at all? My talent fee is compensated. Your talent fee is compensated. What do you mean by that? Marsau Scott doesn't get a check, but for talent, I am paid through an entity. Okay, but you receive income from the television show. Am I right? Yes. Okay, and does your wife receive separate income? Does she get a talent fee too? Yes. Okay, what about your kids? Do they get a talent fee? No. How long has Love and Marriage Huntsville been airing? Since 2019. I'm just keeping that date. I wanted to keep the date in, although we mostly all know the dates because, it just sets up the years for all the Scholt Zen Garden stuff. So I kept the date in there. 41 fit. Girl, this whole deposition, in my opinion, is just not giving the truth. I'll say that. All right. The attorney said there's not any cameras out in the parking lot, are there? This is the most true answer I feel Marsau said in this whole thing. He said, I hope not. Okay. You don't have a body cam or anything on you, do you? No. He said, don't record this stuff. All right. The attorney says people would claw their eyes out from boredom if they had to watch this. If they only knew, y'all, we are not bored. You said Carlos King is the producer? Yes. Okay. Are y'all still taping? I mean, are you still making shows? Yes. That's pretty good. 4 years. Marsau's like 115 episodes. He said, okay, so you're still kind of in the television business and the Scholt industry still viable? Marsau says yes. Do you have any other companies that you're involved in? Here we go. Let's get Black on in there. Chocolate in a bottle. All right. What are they? Blaque LLC and Black Bottles LLC. He said, I think that's all that I know of. The attorney says, is MJS LLC still in business? He said, no. What do they do, or what did they do? Marsau said they owned a single asset or two assets. I'm sorry. And then the attorney says, what was that? They owned a 60-unit apartment complex, and they owned a 4-unit apartment complex. Okay. Blaque LLC, what do they do? Own trademarks of a brand, own a cigar lounge, own a restaurant, own cigars, part owner of another trademark. So you own trademarks for what? Own trademarks for a spirit company. So this backs up what I know Anthony Lofties has said, and I don't know if other content creators have said it as well, but y'all know when it was going around that he could use the name, but it wasn't like his. Well, here he is, All right. Black Bottle. Okay, so those two are kind of entwined. Does Black Bottle do anything other than make liquor? He said own trademarks. So you've got trademark cigars, restaurant, and booze. What else under the Black mothership? Marsau says gifts, trinkets, and stuff. And I put in my note so I wouldn't forget. Let me see. What did I say? Bring it up. Oh, I can't get it. It won't show. But I know I said something like, oh, so like t-shirts? Because it's t-shirts on that website. Gosh darn it. I saw it. How are you lying under? Oh, Soul Star. Oh my gosh. It's Chrissy Time. Thank you for my super sticker, Chrissy Time. I appreciate you. Thank you. Everything's in Latisha's name, right? He said, oh, I'm telling he moved. Robin. MJS, is that the son he put something in? Dana, now he's an MJS as well, so I don't know. I think it would still be in his, because he said it's not doing anything anymore, I think. So that might have been before. That might be his, because he's Marsau Javon Scott Sr. So it might be under him. Thank you, Soul Star. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, because he thinks he's the smartest in the room every time. All right. Okay. He said, Marsau says people sell to other people, so it's as if he's giving his stuff to be resold. But I haven't seen that before. Thank you. It's Chris Time, and thank y'all for sticking in here so we could get this. Yes, I can't wait to hear some of these recaps. Okay, he said, when were they formed? He said Blaque was formed in 2018 and Black Bottles was 2021. And the attorney says, so you say MJS is no longer viable. Correct. Did MJS dispose of the 60-unit apartment or 60-unit apartment building and the 4-unit apartment? Yes. Okay. Any other companies right now that you're involved with? No. Okay. And are you the president of Blaque? Yes. Now, see, this is another one. He doesn't mention Tisha from my memory for Blaque. So Tisha got all that stuff she's holding on Scholt. And I didn't hear her name for Blaque in this deposition. So we'll see if I'm right. Because, now I ain't got to go off memory. I'm reading it again with y'all. But y'all, you trying to tell me Tisha doing all this promoting and she's not really a part of Blaque, according to how he's testifying, at least. Please like the video. I hope Marsau hears this so he Donna. Okay. Sorry. Hold on. Are there any partners in it? This is for Blaque. He says no. Okay, Black Bottles LLC. Are you president of that entity too? Yes. Any partners or shareholders? He says Douglas Moss, and I'm sure that's who I'm guessing about. Douglas Moss. I ain't gonna guess. I don't know, but it ain't Tisha's name. That's all I know. Does Douglas Moss have any interest in Blaque? At Trending, sorry for being late. Had a date with the casino. Okay, Joyce. Look, girl, we got so much you might not even go back for the replay. Marsau is listed as a sole owner. No, Shan. Well, that's what he's testifying to as well, Shan. Well, I guess he's saying Douglas though, so I guess he wouldn't be sole because it's Douglas's name in here. The attorney says, but does he have any interest in Blaque? Marsau says no. Okay, and then he says, but he does in Black Bottles. And is he like vice president or something of that LLC? Yes. So there's 2 different LLCs. Black Bottles, Douglas. Blaque, just Marsau. Thank you for the super sticker, Bad Apple. I appreciate you. Thank you for sticking with me. From my understanding, Blaque is owned by his frat brothers, allegedly. Well, it's on record. I think that's public record. Okay. So he said, is he a minority shareholder? Yes. And do you have 100% of Blaque LLC? No. Who has the percentage? What percentage do you have? Marsau can't even get his own percentage. He says 94 to 96%. Let me see. Oh, thank you for the super chat, 41 Fit. Thank you so much, y'all. Woo. So this is where he does bad math again. So first he had 94%, then 96%. The attorney says, who has the 4%? He says Jalen Grant. Oh, is that Jalen? Like Kimmy's Jalen? I just realized that name sounded familiar. Is that, oh my gosh. Is that Kimmy's Jalen? Okay. So then the attorney says, so he has 5%, or Marsau says he has 5%. Then Marsau changes it and says, I thought he changed it somewhere. Oh, he said instead of 4%, he has 5%, which means Marsau has 95%, or somebody else has, I don't know what Marsau's math is doing. And he took math, y'all. Every school he went to math, and that's why he only did 1 or 2 semesters. Thank you, Queen Gwen, for the super chat, for the hard work on this deposition. Thank you so much. Y'all are showing up and showing out. I know. Are Douglas Moss and Jalen Grant, are they Alabama residents to your knowledge? I don't know. Is Martell Holt still involved with Scholt Industries? No. When did he divest himself of that interest? I don't, this the man is supposed to be the smartest man in the room. He says, I don't understand The word divest. The attorney says get rid of. And then he says January 2017. He didn't hang around long, a year. This is the attorney saying that. Did y'all have an amicable parting? Marsau says in some ways. The attorney says in some ways not. Correct. Did you have to buy him out, or how was the exit? How was that accomplished? And he says Latisha was able to purchase his shares into my shares after she sold her apartment complex. Okay. I know, lies, more lies. I know. Marsau throwing her Gemini, I'm telling you. Oh, Kimmy, that's true. Oh my gosh. Okay. Has that been the case since 2017? Oh, sorry. So Latisha Scott is the majority shareholder in Scholt Industries now. Yes. Has that been the case since 2017? Yes. How many shares does she own? Now he testifying 85%. I know the percentage kept changing. Hey, Purple Unicorn. And do you own the other 15%? Yes. That's been consistent since January 2017, the percentages? Yes. Well, are you still the vice president of Scholt Industries, Inc.? No. Do you hold any office in Scholt Industries, Inc.? Yes. Thank you, Minerva, for the super chat. Oh, Minerva, I appreciate you. Said thank you for always checking on me. I try, Minerva. You know I'm a little hermit. I try. I appreciate you for being here. I don't understand the word divest. Bad apple. He can never be like he's the smartest one. Divest is one of the most simple things. You got all these LLCs. Like, come on. See, I just said that. Tisha own apartments. Okay. He said, what office do you hold? President. And so basically for Scholt, it went from Marsau being vice president to president, and Tisha is now vice president, y'all. Thank you, the real VB, for the super chat. I thought there was like 8 people that own that hole in the wall. Look, we haven't seen the paperwork. This is what he's saying. So I ain't gonna say it's not seven other people in there. Thank you for the super chat, real VB. Lord, he's gonna get Jalen locked. Oh Lord, P2 Ross. All right, so she's VP. All right, let's see. Are there any other officers other than Latisha Scott and Marsau Scott in Scholt Industries? Yes. Who are the other officers? Millicent Scott. He said, your sister? Yes. Thank you for the super chat, Tawana908. She said, thank you for keeping the tea hot. Thank you. You know, look, I put on my channel, I'm usually lukewarm to y'all. I'm usually lukewarm. This is different, okay? Aquita, please stop. No, Aquita, this is the whole point. I'm sorry. This is our interaction. Y'all, I like interacting with y'all. I do. I appreciate it because, you know, that's just my style. So I'm sorry for those that don't like the interruptions, but I'm going to get us through it. I promise. I promise. I promise. And I appreciate you, Aquita. I saw you in the comments. Aquita, you got to edit some of your comments because YouTube won't let it post. But I saw you in there and I appreciate your comments under the videos. Hey, love, Key. All right. So back to Latisha being under that bus. Okay, Millicent Scott was a secretary, and then Maurice Scott was a treasurer. When did Millicent Scott become secretary of Scholt Industries? I do not recall. Was it before or after the Zen project was begun? I do not recall. What about Maurice Scott? When did he become treasurer? I do not recall. Are there any minutes to any meetings which will reflect when those two became officers in this corporation? No. Does Scholt Industries own any properties? No. What is the business of Scholt Industries? Any business permissible by law? That's his answer. Do they specialize in anything? Yes. What do they specialize in? Running integrous businesses. I did Google the word integrous. It actually does exist. And it says, the attorney said, what? He said, you're going to have to educate me. What is integrous business? Marsau says, it's just integrity. And what, and the irony of that, and what types of integrous businesses do you, I guess, do? Commercial general contracting. As far as going from roughly 2000 to today, companies that you've had an interest in, M&M Pools, right? Marsau says, yes. Infinity Pools. And then Marsau says, no. Oh, yes. Infinity Pools. Yes. Attorney, all right. Infinity Properties, you were not involved with. You were an employee. Marsau says, no. The attorney says, I've got Scholt Industries, Inc., Blaque LLC, Black Bottles LLC, and MJS LLC. Have I gotten everything? He says, yes. They break for lunch, come back. So they done had it. They broke for lunch. Janetta Boyd, thank you for the super chat. You're doing an amazing job on this Zen case. Thank you. Y'all getting me through it. Thank you so much. PSR, why so many LLCs? With Marsau, I have my guesses. I ain't gonna say, but I got my guesses. At least we know this is the real Marsau Squidward. You're right. You can tell it's him. It's him. All right. It says, let's talk about Scholt a little more. Prior to the Zen project, has Scholt acted as a general contractor on anything other than multi-family construction projects? I can't answer that. I want to point out, y'all remember in that one reunion when he tried to answer like, well, Melody and Martell, they do residential, I do commercial. I'm like, where is the commercial? Like for real, where is it? And that's Melody said, finish a project, because I see nothing impressive. I don't. And this is where you should be trying to impress. I do not recall. Right. Ernesto. Wow. Right. Thank you. It's Chrissy time. Thank you. All right. It says, did Scholt have any, this is where we get to the things. Did Scholt have any full-time project managers in its employ in 2019? No. Did they have any superintendents that were employed by Scholt Industries in 2019? No. Did they have any engineers that were employed by Scholt in 2019? No. Who is Mike Scott? I don't know. You don't know a Mike Scott? I don't. Let me show you what I'm going to mark as Defendants Exhibit 1, Mr. Scott. And then the attorney says, do you know a Michael Scott? He said, yes, that's my uncle. Now, what's funny is later Marsau is going to slip up and call his own uncle Mike Scott, but he wanted to be a smart-a and say he didn't know who Mike Scott was when the attorney referred to him as Mike Scott. And when Marsau slips up and calls him Mike Scott, the attorney corrects him and says, do you mean Michael Scott? I was like, come on, Mr. Rogers. Sorry, me clapping the mic. Hey, Miss Reese, how are you? All right, let's see. Michael Scott, okay. Has Michael Scott ever been an employee of Scholt Industries? Yes. Michael Scott was employed for the specific purpose of project management for the Zen Garden project. That's Marsau saying that. Okay, and when you say that he was employed for the specific purpose, what was his role to be? Project manager. Michael Scott received a paycheck from the Scholt Industries, Inc. during the construction of the Zen Garden apartments. That was a question. Marsau says yes. And you would have copies of those checks? Yes. How did he bill you? Was it hourly? No. Was he on a salary for you? Yes. So whatever hours he put in, he was going to get the same amount of money? No. What was it based on? Contractor relationship where a certain amount of hours equal a certain amount of money. This man don't know what salary means. So the attorney said, what if he put in additional hours? Was he paid additional money? Marsau says, I can't hypothesize what he would have been paid. The attorney says, well, you weren't. The attorney says, well, weren't you running the company at that time? Marsau says, yes, but that's a hypothetical situation. It didn't occur. The attorney says, so he never put in any overtime? I can't answer that. Or told you he did? No. Okay, what about if, he said, how did you keep up with how many hours he was putting in the job at Zen Garden Apartments? Marsau says he wasn't billed for or charged hourly, so that's not something I kept up with. Attorney says, okay, he wasn't giving you his time, I assume. Marsau said, why would he? Okay. I like Mr. Rogers too. Well, that's kind of what I'm asking. Why? I mean, tell me your payment arrangement with him. You may have said this before. I didn't hear it. But what was your arrangement with him? Salary. It was a salary and you expected so many hours a week out of him? Or Marsau says, no. Did he have a job description or anything that you kept? Yes. All right. And is it written down anywhere? Marsau says senior project management. He didn't say yes to written down though. And the attorney says, did he have, somebody like Alan who charges, and Alan is Marsau's attorney. He said, did he have somebody like Alan who charges $450 an hour? Like, would he present you with a bill, or how was that done? And then Marsau says, you've asked and I've answered. The attorney says, okay, I'm still trying to understand it. Marsau says he was paid salary. He was not paid by the hour. Okay, was he employed by anyone else at the same time that he was working with Scholt Industries or the Zen Gardens project? I cannot say. Where does Michael Scott live? In Houston, Texas. Has he ever resided in Huntsville, Alabama? I do not know. Did you ever rent him an apartment so that he could work on this project in North Alabama? No. Do you know whether or not he ever came up here and stayed for any length of time in an apartment in Huntsville, Alabama while working on the Zen Gardens project? Marsau says, is your question, did he stay in an apartment or did he come up here? The attorney says, my question is, did he stay up here, like in an apartment? And I'll get to a hotel in a little bit. Marsau says, okay, not an apartment. The attorney says, did he stay in a hotel then? Marsau says, I believe so. Did he present you with receipts to reimburse him for that? Yes, at times. And would you have those still? No. Okay, would that have been something that you would have absorbed as the general contractor, or is that something that would pass on to the owner, the hotel expense? Marsau says, as Michael Scott's fee was a set fee and that was in general conditions, that would be something that if it exceeded above that, then it'd be something that I would have to absorb as a general contractor. That was a whole circle, in my opinion, on that answer. Did you have a contract with Michael Scott, employment contract for this project? I can't recall. If you did, would it be a record that you would have maintained? Hopefully. I'd like to get a copy of it if I could. If I have it, I'll get it. You say he lives in Houston, Texas. Yes. Does he still work with Scholt Industries? No. Is this the only project that he purportedly worked for Scholt Industries? As a project manager? Yes. This is where I think he starts changing his answers, but I can't remember. As a project manager, yes. The attorney is repeating his answer. Has he worked for Scholt Industries in any other capacity? Marsau says design engineer or architect. That was, the attorney says that was on a job other than the Zen Garden project. Marsau says correct. Then Marsau says, actually, let me take that back. No, he hasn't worked for Scholt in any other capacity. Either he did or he didn't. Okay. The attorney says, just this job as a project manager? Marsau says yes. Then the attorney says, who is James Freeman? James Freeman is someone that we hired for Scholt Industries as a superintendent. How is Mr. Freeman compensated? This is where I started just having to highlight so I could make sure I made it on time, I think. Okay, Mr. Freeman was compensated via check. Was he hourly or salary? Marsau says salary. What was his role? Superintendent. Do you have a contract with Mr. Freeman? I believe I sent Mr. Freeman an offer letter. And then Marsau says, I believe Vishal, that's Zen Garden, and I sent Mr. Freeman an offer letter. And you said that was done by you and Mr. Shah? And Marsau said yes. The attorney says he was the superintendent. Did you know Mr. James Freeman prior to Zen Garden project? No. He had never worked with Scholt Industries prior to the Zen Garden project? No, he hasn't. Do you know what his background or qualifications were prior to going to work as a superintendent for Scholt Industries? Not offhand, I don't. Okay, who is John Carroll? John Carroll was an applicant for project management. Applicant for project management. Did he work on the project? No. And was he ever an employee of Scholt or Scholt? He's pronouncing the name different ways on accident. Marsau says no. Who is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it says who is, I'm going to say Legier. I just like how Legier sounds. Who is Legier Allen III? He was another applicant. Was he ever employed by Scholt? No. What was he an applicant for? Legier Allen was an applicant to be employed on the Zen Garden project, which was set to start October 27th, 2020. Okay. And the position that he was going to fulfill was what? The position was project manager. Attorney says project manager. Okay. And we've talked about Lindsay Neal. His name has popped up. Who is Lindsay Neal? And that's Lindsay. It turns out to be a she. And the attorney, or Marsau says, I think she was terminated in 2017, but and she came back and she was working in 2019. What was she doing in 2019? He said project coordinator, I believe. Then he says, I don't know. I don't know if she was actually employed at that time. So take that off. I don't know if she was employed at that time or was going to be employed with the award of this project. The attorney says, why don't you tell me what Defendant's Exhibit 1 is? And Marsau says, this looks like the proposal. Is this something that Scholt provided to Zen Gardens LLC? And he says, I think he says yes. He says a portion of what they provided. Okay. The purpose of this, it says statement of qualifications. And I'm pretty sure this is a big part of Zen Garden's case. Statement of qualifications. Marsau says yes. All right. And this is where you were. I guess you provided this to Zen Gardens to introduce yourself to the company? Yes. Was this presented with a bid package? Yes. And would it have been presented in a big bid package in 2019 or 2020? Thank you for the super chat, Mika. Love your joyful spirit and channel. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Mika. Look, I'm going to take a sip of water. Let me mute myself. I don't want to be gulping in y'all ear. Hold on. Thank y'all. I got Mr. Trending back here. He enjoying it too. Trying to act like he ain't enjoying this. And hey, Micah Bird. Hi, everybody. If I did not see you. Hi, Vi Gordon. I appreciate y'all. Hey, Designs and Decor. I happened to look over. Thank y'all so much for the support. Okay. This would have been presented, the bid package would have been presented on September 27th, 2019. Attorney says 2019. Okay, I'm looking at base number 720, and it says up at the top, track record of success, correct? Yes, it says general building contractors. I assume you're talking about Scholt Industries or Scholt Industry. He says it, oh, he's pronouncing it different ways. So Scholt Industries. General building contractors specializing in hotels and multiple family building construction. Is that correct? Marsau says correct. He said hotels, specializing in hotels and multiple family building construction. Okay. The attorney says, how many hotels has Scholt Industry constructed at the time that this was presented to Zen Gardens? How many? And Marsau says, how many had it remodeled? And the attorney says, no. How many had it constructed? Marsau says, none. The attorney says, how many had it design build? Marsau says, one. Where was that? Best Western in Huntsville, Alabama. Is that the one that wasn't that Black Titanic show that it had nothing going on? Oh, this is a deposition, Erica. This will be presented to the jury. That's why it's going, because it's just the attorney, the court reporter, two attorneys, the court reporter, the videographer. That's why there's no time to do all. That's not what they're doing right now in their deposition. That's why it's going like this. That's the only reason. No judge. Yeah, right. Lil Paulette said it. Thank you, Taisha, for becoming a Trendy Tribe member. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I'll play our Where the Blessings Reside at the end if y'all still in here, because I don't want to keep up your time. Okay, y'all. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, I'm sorry, we halfway through, but I'm telling you the facts matter. And with this episode coming up and how he coming at them about how they didn't help him, I think that this matters. Okay. How many had it constructed? None. How many had it design built? One. That was the Best Western. Okay. But nothing from the ground up, correct? Marsau said at all. So I guess not at all. Has Scholt Industries constructed from the ground up any multifamily buildings? No. Skipping on down to about the middle of that, it says, quote, our in-house capabilities allow us to deliver highly competitive quality construction work, and we believe this demonstrates our integrity and dedication to our work, end quote. Did I read that right? Marsau asked that man to reread it. And then after he read it, Marsau said that's correct. The attorney says, now in-house, you've told me that you had Latisha Scott, right? Yes. And Marsau Scott? Correct. And Millicent Scott? Marsau says no. Then the attorney says on the board in-house, and Marsau says no. You said something and I missed it. And Marsau said no. Oh, I'm sorry. Marsau was trying to say on the board in the house. He was stuttering basically. And the attorney kind of missed it. And then the attorney's trying to get him to say it again. And Marsau don't want to say it again. So then the attorney asked the court reporter, that's what's in purple. The court reporter said, I think he said not on the board. This is on record, sir. And then the attorney says, what do you mean not on the board? This is where Marsau says, please strike that from the record. And the attorney says she can't. And Marsau said, okay, well, I'm not going to clarify anymore. And the attorney says, okay. Was Millicent Scott working for Scholt Industries, Inc. in September of 2019? No. What about Maurice Scott? Was he working for Scholt Industries in 2019? September 2019? No. So would it be fair to say that in September of 2019, the in-house people at Scholt Industries consisted of Latisha Scott, who owned 85% of the company, and Marsau Scott, who owned 15% of the company and was president? Yes. Okay, what is Latisha Scott's background in building science? I busted out laughing. Marsau, and then not even just she's under the bus again. This man said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. Has she ever acted as a general contractor? I don't know. Prior to your marriage or during your marriage? I don't know. The attorney says you don't know that? Okay, moving on down to the last bit of a paragraph, it says, quote, our team is in constant communication with our distributors, construction managers, subcontractors, engineers, and our clients, quote. And then Marsau has them reread it. Latisha, go ahead and set you up a waterbed or something under that bus, because you ain't never getting off one of this bus. And then, okay, then Marsau says correct after the attorney rereads the statement. And I'll just say again, I just want to repeat, our team is in constant communication with our distributors, construction managers, subcontractors, engineers, and our clients. The attorney says, all right, you've told me y'all didn't have any in-house engineers, right? Marsau doesn't respond. The attorney says, you need to answer out. And then Marsau says, correct. So y'all didn't have any in-house construction managers, correct? Marsau says, false. The attorney says, how am I wrong? Marsau says, because I'm a licensed general contractor and I served in the capacity of construction management. The attorney says, so this sentence, from contract award to project closeout, our team, and then which Scholt Industries at the time consisted of Latisha Scott and Marsau Scott, right? Marsau said, that's not our team, not our entire team. And then the attorney says, well, that's everybody that's working at Scholt Industries in 2019, correct? Marsau says, correct. But I don't consider just the people that are our employees as our only team. There he go. There he go. Words. Hi, love. Is it Love Iota? Let's see. Micah, hi. He rolled that bus back and forth. Right. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so he says, well, that's everybody that's working at Scholt Industries 2019, correct? He's now consider them my team. Then he said, can you reread the sentence again? The attorney reread the sentence. And then Marsau said, you can stop there. Quote, our team is in constant communication, playing on words. And then Marsau says, let's focus on that part. Marsau's attorney tells him, you answer, he gets to ask the questions. And then the Garden's attorney says, yeah, I get to ask the questions and you get to answer what I ask. That's the way it works. Marsau says, I'm sorry, go ahead. Then he says, okay, let's flip over to the next page. And they go to more exhibits. It says relevant projects. And the attorney says, am I reading that right? Marsau says, yes. He says, okay, in the Monarch apartment homes, you said that's a 60-unit apartment complex, right? Correct. Okay, and is that the one that was owned by Latisha Scott? No. Okay, she owned a different 60-unit apartment complex? He said, not to my knowledge. All right, Monarch Apartments. When was the Monarch apartment homes? What was the job there? Was it ground up? No. Purchase and renovation of a 60-unit apartment complex? Oh, sorry. Marsau is answering, it was the purchase and renovation of a 60-unit apartment complex. Who owned it? MJS LLC. Okay. Did Scholt act as the general? No. Who acted as a general contractor? And then Marsau says they didn't have a general. The attorney says didn't have a general. Okay. Jonathan Drive Apartments. That's a 4-unit apartment building, right? What? He said, was that the 4-unit apartment building that was owned by Latisha Scott? Marsau says no. Was it owned by MJS? Yes. All right. Who were the office holders of MJS? It was an LLC. So were you a shareholder in that corporation? Yes. How much did you own? 50%. And was Latisha Scott the other shareholder? No. Who else was? Maurice Scott. Coming back to Maurice. Oh my gosh. Plagiarism, making fools of themselves. Oh gosh. Okay. The attorney says that was Hunter Ridge. That's the next one down. What was that a build-up from the ground project, or was it a renovation? Marsau says renovation. Attorney says renovation. That was 4 units. Yes. Hunter Ridge apartment was that the burned up apartment building? Yes. Okay. And that was a 12-unit building? Yes. And that was a tear down and build up, right? Marsau says yes. The attorney says, was any of it salvageable, or was it just flattened? Marsau says some of it was salvageable. Okay, Uptown Station, what is that? He said it's a retail shopping plaza. That was a property that your wife owned, or your wife's corporation? Marsau says, finally, yes. Okay. The attorney says, now it looks to me like these are the folks that you're representing to Zen are going to work on the project on behalf of Scholt Industries. Is that correct? Marsau said at the time, yes. So this is who he presented, I think, in his proposal package. So John Carroll was to be the site superintendent. Correct. He was going to spend 100% of his time on Zen Gardens project. Correct. Correct. And you've got an hourly rate out here. That's what y'all were going to charge Zen for his presence on site? No. That's a breakdown of what he would be compensated for his hourly rate based on his salary. Who would pay him $53.14 an hour? Marsau says, I'm not charging an hourly rate. The attorney says, well, why is it included? Marsau says it's just a breakdown. The attorney says, so it doesn't mean anything? Marsau says, sometimes it doesn't. I'm legit getting a little secondhand embarrassment. Right. Ratings would go through the roof if CK showed the actual court case. Right. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't. And John is listed up here. What do you call this flow chart at the top? Marsau says, I don't know. That's his proposal package. He says he doesn't know. But the attorney says, but he's listed as the site superintendent, right? Correct. Does that mean he's going to be on site all the time? That means he would have been on site all the time. All right. On behalf of Scholt Industries, correct. Okay. The next person who is listed is Legier Allen III, right? Correct. And he's the project manager, right? Correct. And he's going to be there 100% of the time? Correct. And he's going to charge $65.63 an hour? No. Okay. I think you may have told me, but did Legier Allen III, did he work for Scholt Industries? Marsau said at the time of what? At the time that this was prepared and presented? No. And Michael Scott didn't work for Scholt Industries either, right? No. Did Legier Allen ever set foot on this project? No. He was never hired. He was never hired. But you represented to Zen that he was going to be the project manager and spend 100% of his time there, right? And Marsau's attorney objected to the form of the question, but told Marsau he could still answer. And then the attorney said, isn't that what that says? He's Legier Allen III. He's going to be the project manager and spend 100% of his time on this project. And then Marsau says Legier Allen was going to be a project manager on the project starting on October 2019. The attorney says, okay, and this percentage here meant that he was going to be 100% dedicated to this project. Marsau says he would be 100% dedicated to a project starting in 2019. I'm not sure why he's playing on these words, but he's playing with these dates and words right now. The attorney says, okay, Michael Scott, you told me he was not working for you at this time, correct? Marsau says, correct. But you were going to get him to be the senior project manager, right? Marsau says senior project manager to be on the project starting in 2019. Just again, he keeps harping on that 2019, so I'm just telling y'all. And then the attorney says, and Michael Scott was going to be 50% of the time on this project, right? And Marsau says on the job starting 2019. The attorney says, what was he going to do the other 50% of the time? Marsau said, that's not my business or yours. The attorney says, well, I don't know about that. You said he's in Houston? Marsau said, yes, sir. Okay. Then it says, the attorney says, Michael was going to have an hourly rate of $93.75, correct? Marsau said, no. The attorney said, that's what's written on this page. Is that right? Marsau said, I think we've asked and answered that several times. He's trying to... The attorney said, no, we haven't asked and answered that one. So is that what's written on the page? Marsau says, is what? He repeats the hourly rate. Marsau says it's a breakdown of what his compensation would be on an hourly rate. Okay, Lindsay Neal, she's the girl that I think you said you terminated, right? And the attorney says, and she was going to be the project coordinator. And Marsau reiterates this date. It says on the project starting October 27th, 2019. And she was going to spend 50% of her time on this, right? Marsau said on that project. And then they say for $35.43 hourly rate. Marsau says no. The attorney says what's written on the page. Marsau says what's written on this page is the breakdown of the compensation based on the hourly rate. The attorney says, okay, well, the column is titled hourly rates, and that's the number that's written up under it, right? And then Marsau said this form is incomplete based on the proposal that was submitted. The attorney says, okay, then you have principal Marsau Scott. You're going to spend 40% of your time on the Zen Garden project, right? He says, correct. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yeah, and it's mentioned in here that 5 million is coming up. It is cited in here. And then it says, and you're under the column hourly rate. It says you have a number listed next to your name for $109.38 an hour, right? Marsau says it does. Then the attorney says, where is Mark Scott listed on this? And then Marsau says Mark Scott is not listed on this. Then it says, what about James Freeman? Is he listed on this? Neither one of those are listed. Okay, they're the folks that actually came and did the work instead of Legier Allen and John Carroll, correct? Okay, so here's where some people started being swapped out once that proposal got approved. Tisha and Uncle Mike better get their own attorney. Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, then it says, the attorney says, they're the folks that actually came and did the work. And Marsau said, can you repeat the question? And then the attorney says, James Freeman and Mark Scott were the folks that showed up instead of Legier and John on this job, right? Marsau says no. Then he says, okay, but we are in agreement that Mr. Carroll and Mr. Allen never worked on this project, correct? Marsau says, this is how I'm like, Bugs, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Joy, I'm so sorry. The attorney said they never showed up on the job. I'm sorry. No, sorry. It was an agreement that Mr. Carroll and Mr. Allen never worked on the project, correct? Marsau said this project never existed. The attorney says this project never existed, Zen Gardens. And then Marsau said Zen Gardens to start on October 27, 2019 never existed. The attorney said, did Zen Gardens get built? It did. Okay. Did it get built pursuant to the bid that you put in? No. Okay. Why are we here? Then the attorney says, Mr. Scott, going back to Exhibit 1, you said that this was part of a bid package. Is that correct? Marsau said, I believe so. Yes, sir. All right. And what's not included, it looks like, are the numbers for the project. I think the final number that was bid was like 10,300,000, something like that. Does that sound about right? Marsau said, no, sir. No, sir. And then the attorney says, that's wrong. He says, yes. Okay. What was the first bid that you put on? Marsau says, I believe it was somewhere around 12.7 million. The attorney says 12.7. Okay. I assume that you kept a copy of the first bid that you put in. Is that right? Correct. Okay. And what would be records that your lawyer would have and he'd be able to produce to me? And Marsau said, yes. Okay. So getting back to the statement of qualifications, did you ever submit a second statement of qualification to Zen Gardens? No, sir. Okay. So this is the only one that was ever sent to Zen. That was the statement of qualifications. Yes. Okay. Let's look at page 723, relevant project experience. Now, the first project that's listed on page 723 is the Hunters Ridge Apartments, right? So this is his qualifications. They just asked him all that background. Y'all saw why. I ain't gonna repeat it. Y'all saw. And then the attorney says that was the ones that burned and were rehabbed, correct? Marsau says yes. The attorney says, all right. And that was done at a cost of $415,000, right? Yes. And then you list when the project occurred, and it was about 5 months in 2013, 2014, correct? And were you the project manager? Yes. And Infinity Properties that you've listed here as a client, that was your wife's company, right? Correct. Okay. Monarch Apartments, that's a 60-unit apartment. Correct. And that was a rehab project, right? Yes. And that was $1.4 million, right? Correct. You were the project manager and the client was MJS LLC. I'm sorry, you were the project manager and the client was MJS LLC, which was a company that you and your wife owned. Correct. Okay. Then we start getting into these other fellows and their experience. Legier, you say, was the project manager on a $36 million project in Chamblee, Georgia. Correct. Is the purpose of this list to say that these projects that we've done, is the purpose of this list to say these are projects that we've done and my people have done? Is that what the purpose of this list is? Relevant project experience. And Marsau says the purpose of this list is to show the relevant experience that these people that are joining the Scholt team have been a part of. All right. Okay, I'm going to skip a little bit of their thing because we get the gist of he listed them and then they didn't even come work for them. And then the other ones were his own stuff. That's what I got. So I'm going to skip y'all down a little bit. Let's see. Here we go. Let's get to Michael Scott. It says, you've got Michael Scott, your uncle, who worked on an $80 million project for One Shell Square in New Orleans, correct? That's correct. Okay. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. It's so many other things. And it says a $49 million project in Houston, Texas for Veneer Construction Management. Do you know if he was employed by Veneer Construction Management? I don't. Thank you, Lisa. I'm trying to keep it going, y'all. So I'm trying to see y'all, and I appreciate y'all being in the comments and being active. Looks like he's got several multi-million-dollar projects, all done for Veneer Construction Management out of Houston. There are 3 listed. Is that right? And Marsau doesn't respond. Were any of these, to your knowledge, multi-family apartment buildings, or do you know? Well, it looks, and Marsau says, well, it looks like, reading from the sheet, like 4 of them were. And then the attorney says, which 4? And Marsau says, well, 5. And then he lists the 5. All right. And then it says, the attorney says, all right, now your project, says the project manager, would you agree with me that the cost of those was significantly less than any of the other costs? They were smaller projects. And Marsau said, I would definitely agree. And then he says, is this your resume? Marsau's resume. And Marsau says, yes. He said, the first kind of bullet in it is an area of expertise. Do you see that? Yes. And who compiled this document? Is this something that you prepared? No. Who prepared it? The company. I don't remember. Where would the company have gotten the information about your experience? A conversation with me. So you would have been the genesis of this information. Yes. Okay. It looks to me like the area of expertise. There's 17 items that you're holding out yourself out as an expert. Is that true? 17 items. Marsau says no. Then the attorney says, which area of expertise here would you not be an expert in? Marsau says, I can't answer that question. Then the attorney says, you list your education as a Master of Science degree from the University of Alabama, Huntsville, in business analytics, correct? He says no. And then he says, oh, the attorney read it again. He says, you listed yourself as a candidate. He put candidate after all that, so you might miss the word candidate. All right. So then it says, you have a Bachelor of Science, and it's called BS, and it's just funny for Marsau. It's called BS, but I know that's what it's called. Business admin, Alabama A&M, Huntsville, Alabama, correct? And he says correct. Construction management certificate from Turner School, going back over his educational qualifications. All right. He says, remind me, John was supposed to be what on this job? The site superintendent? Correct. Then he says, what is your way construction? And then Marsau said, I think he gets defensive because Marsau says, where'd you find that at? And then the attorney says it's under experience. And Marsau says, oh, that's my dad's construction company. And then they got Michael Allen. He says it's a summary of his experience. And Marsau says no. And then I'm sorry, he meant Michael Scott. He accidentally said Michael Allen. Okay, let's keep it going. Okay, this is another person I think didn't show up. I see y'all laughing. Okay, it says, where did it say? Jock Leonard. Jock Leonard is an architect who partially designed the Zen Garden project. And then Mr. Scott, did you have a general liability insurance on this job? I didn't know. I wasn't expecting that question. And Marsau says yes. And then he said, who with? Marsau said, I have to look it up. The attorney says, have you notified your insurance carrier that there's a claim being made against you for $5.5 million by Zen Gardens? Marsau said yes. And then they said, have they offered coverage for that loss? No. Have they sent you a declaration or a declination, like declining coverage letter? No. Mr. Scott, I'm going to ask you some questions about this AIA contract that I've marked as Exhibit 2. All right. Let's see. Get down to where he asked him a question. He says, does your signature appear there on that document as the contractor? Yes. Now, it's my understanding, he said, it's my understanding this was a guaranteed maximum price contract. Is that correct? That's correct. If I have my contracting people still in here, this is where they describe the type of contract. I need y'all to chime in, because a guaranteed maximum, I thought that's on behalf of the person that awards the contract. Like that's a safety net for the person that awards the contract, not for the contractor. That's where the contractor takes the most risk. So I need my contracting people to tell me if that's what guaranteed maximum contract is. Okay. So then the attorney asked Marsau, what does that mean? And y'all highlight it. Y'all let me know if somebody answers that, because I want to highlight it to see if somebody does say that. Okay. He says, what does that mean? And Marsau says, I don't know the exact definition, but it seems that's the maximum price guaranteed. So Marsau is interpreting it as maximum price guaranteed. Well, no, okay, right now he's saying maximum price guaranteed. Okay. And then the attorney says guaranteed by who? And then Marsau says guaranteed by this contract. And the attorney says, would it be guaranteed that the contract will be performed by the contractor? And then Marsau says, I don't know. Improper insurance, right? Let me see. I'm looking for my contract people. I'm trying to see if they in here. I don't see them yet. So I know Live, Laugh, Love. I think Soror, and I had somebody else that was they did contracts. I'm trying to see. Okay, all right. But they're gonna explain it, but I just wanted somebody to back it up in the chat. But they're gonna explain maximum. Okay. So the attorney says guaranteed maximum price, and it says, quote, contract sum is guaranteed by the contractor, that is Marsau Scott, not to exceed $10,318,603, end quote. And the attorney says, is that correct? Marsau says that's part of the sentence. Yes. The attorney says, right. Now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Quote, subject to additions and deletions by change order as provided in the contract documents, period. Correct? Marsau says correct. And then he says, all right, quote, this maximum sum is referred to in contract documents as the guaranteed maximum price. Costs which would cause the guaranteed maximum price to be exceeded shall be paid by the contractor. Again, that is Marsau Scott. Without reimbursement by the owner would be Zen Gardens. The attorney says, did I read that right? Marsau said yes. The attorney says, an itemization of the GMP agreed to by owner and contractor as of this date is attached. And Marsau says correct. All right. He says, this says construction cost summary of Scholt Industries. Correct. Now, is this the document you prepared? Marsau says no. Do you know where it was prepared? Marsau says Vachal prepared it. And the attorney says, so this is something Mr. Shaw prepared, which the attorney is there for Vachal. And Marsau says yes. And then the attorney says, would you agree with me that on that summary first page that the total direct cost was supposed to be $10,318,603? Marsau playing silly to me. He says, what page? He tells him where it is. And then okay. And then I feel like, oh, he said, where did that number come from? Do you know? Marsau said yes. That number came through the negotiation between Vachal and Marsau Scott with respect to the proposal that I submitted on October of 2019. How did you come up with the numbers that you submitted? There was no response from Marsau. Did you look at any drawings to submit your numbers? This is where Marsau starts trying to lay it on to, he's trying to lay it on to Vachal, because he says Vachal and I looked at the drawings. We brought all the contractors in. We got them hired. Their hired bid for what they would perform the work with. He presented contractors. I presented contractors. He reviewed some of my contractors and asked if we could use different contracts. Okay, that's the ceiling for the contract. Anything else would need an amendment. Live, laugh, love, my Leo sis. I was hoping you were still in here. Thank you. Yes, Marsau has signed a contract that gives him a ceiling, not the other way around. There is one that would benefit the contractor more, but Marsau went into a contract that benefits the owner more. That's the one he bid on. That's the ceiling unless there's an amendment in writing. Right. And it probably has to be bilateral too. It probably can't just be signed by one party, I would think. And thank y'all. Oh my gosh. Thank y'all so much for being in here. Please continue liking the video. Appreciate y'all for hanging in here. The facts are facting right now, okay? All right. He said we had several conversations with respect to numbers. We worked on this bid together for about 3 months. We landed at a number we believe to be what it would cost based on his experience and my understanding of the contract and his understanding of what he could do this project for. The attorney said, did you submit a bid for $10 million? He repeated the number. Straight to the point. Marsau says, never did. The attorney says, I want to make sure Marsau says, I want to make sure I'm answering your question correctly. The question is, did I submit a bid? Will you repeat the question? The attorney said, did you ever submit a bid for $10 million? And then he named the rest of the amount for Zen Gardens. And Marsau says, can you clarify, submit a bid? Now that's the whole thing. He wants him to clarify, submit a bid. The attorney says, well, I don't know how much plainer I can get. I mean, did you write out a bid and give it to Zen Gardens and say, I can do it for this? And Marsau says no. And then he says, okay, was this contract time sensitive, time dependent? Marsau says, I don't understand what time dependent means. Yes, thank you. Soror, thank you for, oh, you subscribed to Live, Laugh, Love. Awesome. She's good. Okay. Were there certain milestones that you were supposed to meet by certain dates? Marsau says, in this contract, where else would it be? Yes, in this contract. I'm answering. That's not what the attorney said. And then the attorney says, look with me on page 151, substantial completion. And he says, am I reading this right? Quote, subject to adjustments of the contract time as provided in the contract documents, the contract completion of the entire work not later than 365 calendar days from the date of the notice to proceed with commencement of the work. Correct? Marsau said that's correct. All right. And then he goes down and he says, quote, subject to adjustments of the contract time as provided in the contract documents, if portions of the work are to be completed prior to the substantial completion date or substantial completion of the entire work, the contractor shall achieve substantial completion of such portions by the following dates, end quote. And then it gives the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 milestones. And Marsau for now is saying correct. And then the notice to proceed was dated March 2nd of 2020. And then Marsau said, I don't have that information. Thank you, Flory Hook. Thank you so much. Which is why they're asking for an itemized list of expenses. And Live, Laugh, Love, they mentioned the closeout book. Remember, we were thinking about that. I was like, they got to be asking. It's not just a simple invoice. They're asking for his books. And yes, a closeout book is nothing can't get my words out now. It's nothing simple to deal with. Okay. Then Marsau says he doesn't have the information for the notice to proceed. But remember, he's a general contractor. He definitely has the notice to proceed, in my opinion. The attorney said, assume for me that it is March 2nd of 2020. Then he said, was phase 1 completed by September 2nd of 2020? Marsau said no. And then here's the clubhouse, y'all. Remember we talked about that 14 inches on the clubhouse. The attorney says, are you familiar with any problems with the clubhouse that was built out as Zen Garden Apartments? Marsau has no response. And then the attorney says, let's do it this way. Were you familiar with the fact that the clubhouse had to be torn down, the first version of it, and it had to be rebuilt? Marsau says not torn down, but I was familiar with the fact that the clubhouse was built out of spec and it had to be rectified. The attorney says it was 14 inches. The ceilings were 14 inches too low, right? Marsau says no, they were 3 feet too low. That's 36 inches, y'all. He's attesting to 36 inches. The attorney says, okay, so it had to be redone. And Marsau said correct. And the attorney said, which was not contemplated in your initial bid, right? Having to redo the clubhouse. Marsau said, I don't understand your question. And then it says, it's going to be more, the attorney says it's going to be more expensive to get if you've got to tear stuff down and then start back up, right? Marsau says, no. The attorney says, okay, did you reuse the materials that have been issued in the first version of the clubhouse? Marsau said, yes, and back charge the contractor, which I'm guessing he means his subcontractor, possibly. And then the attorney says, I think we said you did not make the 6-month phase 1 substantial completion. Marsau said, that's not what I said. And then the attorney said, did you meet phase 1, the 6-month from notice proceed? Marsau said, can't answer that question. And then phase 2 was supposed to be completed in 9 months. And he's giving dates, and Marsau saying no, they weren't completed. And I'm gonna skip because Marsau does his circle thing a little bit. And he was saying that's wrong. The attorney said, how is that wrong? Marsau says, I can't answer that. He doesn't want to stick to the dates. That's what he keeps going around and around with. He doesn't want to stick to these milestone dates, but that's what's in their contract. All right. The attorney says, I'll just ask flat out, did you meet the 6-month substantial completion date for building 1? Marsau says, I can't answer that. And then he says, phase 2, did you meet it? Marsau says, I cannot answer that question. the attorney says, was your pay was contingent on meeting those dates, wasn't it? Marsau says, no. The attorney says, are you sure about that? Marsau says, I'm certain. All right. And then they go to an exhibit, the part of the exhibit, and it says, this is for progress payments, correct? Marsau said, correct. The attorney said, based upon applications for payment submitted to the architect by the contractor and certificates for payment issued by the architect, the owner shall make progress payments directly to the project subcontractors, suppliers, and vendors, and with respect to the contractor fee, directly to the contractor as provided below and elsewhere in the contract. Alternatively, owner may issue joint checks to the contractor and the project subcontractors, suppliers, vendors as appropriate and in owner's sole discretion. Did I read that right? Marsau said yes. All right. And the attorney's quoting more of the contract. It says the contractor's fee shall be paid in 3 milestone installments, to wit, one, $125,000 upon the contractor, upon reaching substantial completion of phase 1. Did I read that right? Correct. So in order to get paid, you had to meet those milestones, correct? No. Well, tell me how I'm wrong. The original milestones include a date. This does not include a date. And a date is not, he said, this portion is not subject to that date. And he's saying that there's no dates beside these milestones is Marsau's thing. I'm not going to read y'all the whole thing again because he's rereading the paragraphs. And then the attorney says, okay, Mr. Scott, look down. You see down at the very bottom of the page next to the footnote, or like a footnote, do you see some initials that are handwritten in there? Marsau says, yes. He says, who are those? Whose are those? Marsau said, those are mine. And then the attorney said, is there any doubt in your mind that this contract is the one that was governing this project out at Zen? Marsau says, not at this time. All right. He has him look down. There's some aggregate amounts previously paid by the owner. And he said, do you know if any subcontractors that you hired on this project ever put a lien on Zen Gardens property? Okay. Marsau says, yes. He said, do you know how many? Yes. How many? 2. So he said, who were they? Theo Electric and Keith Petty's Heating and Cooling put a lien on Zen Gardens. Okay. And then the attorney said, do you know why they put a lien on the property? Marsau puts it on Vishal and says, puts it on Zen Gardens and said, they put a lien on the property because the owner, which is Zen Gardens, was paying those subcontractors directly. And then the owner did not pay them. The attorney says, that wasn't somebody that you were supposed to pay. He says, no, the owner did not pay them. Then Marsau said, the attorney says, did you have any subcontractors that you had not paid for any work on this project? And Marsau says, not at any time in accordance to our agreement. The attorney says, have you submitted a final invoice to either the architect on this matter or to the owner? Final invoice coming up again because Marsau saying he hasn't gotten paid. The owner says we haven't gotten final invoices. Let's see. I have not submitted any final invoice to the architect. I have submitted all invoices to the owner's representative. And then the attorney says, and have you presented a final invoice to the owner's representative? Yes. When? I submitted the final after the audit was complete. 1 second, y'all. Double checking. Hold on. I'm making sure I'm not missing. Oh, y'all, yes. Okay, I'm so sorry. We got to stop for a second because while y'all are on here, I didn't even see this. Thank you, Vanessa, for the $10. I'm sorry. I ain't going to say the other thing now because I want to connect your name in case you don't want your social media name connected to you. Thank you so much for the $10 Cash App. I appreciate you. Thank you, the Professor Demita Joe, for the Cash App. Thank you so much. And thank you, Joyce Miles, for the Cash App. I see you. I appreciate you. And thank you, Mama V, for the Cash App. Thank you so much. Sometimes you better look at your phone. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh. Y'all are showing out. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, there's an audit. There were 2 audits. Okay, let's see. Marsau says, I submitted the final after the audit was complete, and I submitted it in December 2021. I don't know the exact date. The attorney says, prior to filing this suit, did you ever request a mediation, or either you or through your lawyer? No. Do you recall whether or not you ever submitted any kind of written request for an extension of time? That's very important. That's what Live, Laugh, Love was talking about. If you get it in writing, you can get an extension of time. You maybe can still get your milestone incentives. And Marsau says no, he didn't. Who refers Scholt to these people? They submitted their bid with all the other bids, and since they were lower, they were woman-owned, black-owned, there will be subject to some protests. And then they were listing qualified contractors, bad apples. So you'd have to. I don't know. I would still have fought it, but that's why they ended up going with them at first, because they were lowest, most responsible according to their proposal. Let's see. Let me see. What did he say? He can't answer. Okay. Do you know how far over the 365-day limit it was until the project was substantially complete? Okay. He says Marsau says that's not a valid question. Cannot answer that. The attorney says, well, it is a valid question. So can you answer it? Marsau says, can I answer an invalid question? The attorney says, well, it's not an invalid question. It's a question that is being posed to you that you should answer under oath. So do you want to try? The question has too many, Marsau says the question has too many assumptions for it to be true. So I can't answer that question because it's not valid. So the attorney says, so you're refusing to answer the question. Marsau said, if you would like to answer or ask it properly, I'd love to answer it. The attorney said, no, I think I'm going to leave the question as phrased. It's pretty simple to understand. You were aware that this contract contained a clause for liquidated damages, were you not? Marsau said, yes. And then the attorney said, I think they amended it. And then Mr. Rogers, which is Zen Garden's attorney, said the amendment still matches the term. So he was saying basically, yes, there is an amendment, but the words didn't change. Oops. I'm gonna keep that up there. I can't read it, but I'm keeping it up there for I'm gonna keep it up there. Live, laugh, love. Okay. Hold on. Do you understand the purpose of the liquidated damages? And Marsau says, or the attorney says, yes. What's the purpose of liquidated damages? Why is that clause in the contract to your knowledge? Marsau says, can't answer that. Did you have legal representation prior to you entering into this contract? Marsau said, yes. So you had a lawyer look over it for you. Marsau said, I had legal representation prior to entering the contract. Not really answering the question. The attorney says, were you aware that the contract had a provision which would outline how final payment was to be made to the contractor? Yes. And I'm trying to summarize some of this for y'all because Marsau, you know how he is. They go back anywhere within this deposition where information is false, it can be determined that the entire conversation, Kevin, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Yes. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, quote, this is important because they want their final payment. So, quote, the final payment constituting the entire unpaid balance of the contract sum shall be made by the owner to the contractor and or subcontractors as appropriate when the contractor has fully performed the contract, except for the contractor's responsibility to correct work as provided in Article 12 of the AIA document, and to satisfy other requirements, if any, which extend beyond the final payment. The contractor has submitted a final accounting for the cost of the work in the final application for payment. And he said, did I read that right so far? Marsau said, yes. Okay. He said, were you ever asked to participate in the audit? Yes. And so this one, Hill Fog, I think is the second one, the second audit. And Marsau, the attorney said, who at Hill Fog contacted you? Marsau said, I don't know. Did you cooperate with the people from Hill Fog? Yes. Did you provide them with any documents? Yes. Did you ever meet with them? He said, I provided them with everything they asked me for. That didn't answer the question. And he said, if they indicated that you did not return phone calls and that you did not provide them with documents, would they be mistaken about that? Marsau said, I don't know about missed phone calls, but I think they'd be mistaken if they said that I didn't provide them with the documents they requested to the best of my ability. Did you cooperate with Mr. Chosky? He said 100%. He said, going back to the final payment it says, quote, a final certificate of payment has been issued by the architect in accordance with section 12.2.2. Do you know if that has ever been done, a final certificate of payment being issued by the architect? Marsau said, I don't know if the architect participated in any aspect of this project, especially when it comes to payment. And then the attorney says, quote, owner shall have received lien waivers and indemnity agreements from the contractor and any subcontractor, supplier, or laborer requested by owner, end quote. Do you know if such lien waivers were received? Marsau said no, because there's a lien on the property. The attorney said such waivers and agreements to be in form and substance satisfactory to the owner. Owner shall have received a closeout book. Closeout book. Did you provide a closeout book to Zen Gardens? Marsau says a closeout book was provided. The attorney said, did that include all warranties and the list of subcontractors and suppliers and other such information as shall be reasonably requested by the owner? Marsau said, to the best of my knowledge, I believe so. Do you know if Zen Gardens, after this project was completed, actually had issues with the fire suppression system, which flooded the apartment? So this is one of the issues. Fire suppression system. Marsau said no. Were you aware that the subcontractor did not warranty the work that he did? Marsau said not at all. Were you aware that there were issues with the HVAC subcontractor? I wasn't aware. And it says the HVAC units leaked into the apartments and caused damage. And that the HVAC subcontractor would not provide warranty work. And Miss Marsau's attorney comes in and says, he tells Marsau, let Zen Gardens attorney finish their question for the court reporter and everybody. Don't overtalk him, basically, because you know he good for some overtalking. She's not on this, Pinky. I mean, she's not in this deposition. I don't know, I don't know how this works, but she's not in this deposition. I don't know why, but she's not. Okay, and it says, Marsau said no. Then it says, were you aware that he refused to honor any type of warranty? No. Were you aware that the HVAC contractor that you hired attempted to place a lien on the property of Zen Gardens? Marsau says, I cannot answer that. Do you know what experience not petty HVAC, had with multifamily dwellings prior to this project? Marsau said, I know that his experience was sufficient for the owner to hire him. So you're saying the owner hired him? Marsau said, absolutely. He was a major contractor. And the attorney says, so he wasn't one of your subcontractors? And then Marsau said he was a major contractor hired by the owner and paid by the owner. And the attorney says, so that's your testimony today, that Zen hired him? And Marsau said, absolutely. The attorney said, okay. And then the attorney said, did you have a contract with A1 Fire Protection, or does Zen have the contract? Marsau said, I had the contract. And then the attorney says, with Petty, it's Petty HVAC, is that right? Marsau said, that's correct. Then the attorney said, did you have the contract with Petty, or does Zen have the contract with Petty? And then Marsau says, I had the contract with Petty. I just feel like he answered that in circles too. Would that be true? I wish they aired portions of this interrogation on the news. I know, Sunny Sunshine. Would that be true with all of your subcontractors that you had the contract with them, and that were on the job? Marsau said, I can't say all, but the ones that I hired, yes, the ones that I hired for the most part managed. For example, you have companies like SJ&L, who I did not have a Scholt contract with. And the attorney says, what about Stanley? And Marsau said, yes, I had a contract with Stanley. Did Stanley do the site preparation work? Correct. And the attorney said, which was a substantial chunk out of the total contract, correct? Marsau said, correct. It was over $1 million. And Marsau says, it's broken down into different categories, but yes, overall, they had site and they had utilities. And the attorney says, their contract was with you and not with Zen. And Marsau says, correct. With the concrete contractor, would he have a contract with you who did sidewalks and stairs and things of that nature? That's what the attorney said. And then Marsau says, there are two different concrete contractors, one with me, one didn't. Who was your concrete contractor? And then Marsau says, the concrete contractor that Vishal and I hired was Presidential Concrete. So he's trying to bring Zen Gardens back into it, that they hired him together. And then what did Presidential do as far as concrete work? And he said he did concrete, flat work, foundations, footings, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, elevated concrete. The attorney says, who is Alabama Concrete? And Marsau said, it's a vendor. And he said, okay, did Presidential Concrete do the stairs? And Marsau said, I think they initially did the stairs, which initially means that it had to be redone, probably, right? Oh, thank you, Sunny Sunshine. The subcontractor should have been on the approved vendor list, right? Typically, there's only one deponent per deposition. Latisha's possibly next. Possibly, but they've already started filing some other motions, Sabi. And thank you for being in the chat. Like they filed their motions. They're set to move on to the next steps because they already filed for a partial summary judgment. So I agree there's only one at a time, but I don't think they're going to even depose her. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Golden Mike. Okay. Let's see here. So I think the stairs had to be redone. I'm guessing though. I'm not saying they had to be. I'm just guessing. And then it says who initially did the stairs? Oh, I'm sorry. Who was the framer on the job? Lone Star Framing. Who hired them? He said Vishal and I. He is really trying to make sure he don't say just him. Did Vishal hire every subcontractor? Yes. Why did he need a general contractor if he hired all the subs? Marsau said because in the state of Alabama, you need a general contractor's license in order to build anything. All right, let me see here. Let's see. Thank you for putting the context in there. Thank you, Kevin Moore. So it says Marsau says I'm unaware of Vishal having a general contractor's license. And then he's trying to be smart. Vishal doesn't need a general contractor's license. He's being smart. And then the attorney says, I'm trying to get an idea of what your role is, you, Marsau. If he hired all the subcontractors, then what was it that Scholt Industries, Inc. was supposed to do? And Marsau says, be a general contractor. The attorney says, what role is that? Marsau says, well, being a general contractor involves, collecting, getting all the subs together, organizing the schedule, outlining a plan for the project, dealing with procurement of materials, procurement, things of that nature. That's Marsau said, things of that nature, and kind of organize everyone's schedule and controlling and getting the job done. So the attorney says, so scheduling is something that would have been in your, I don't know how to pronounce this word. I don't say it a lot. I've seen it. Is it Ballywick? I don't know. As the general contractor. And Marsau said, absolutely. And he said, so any delays in the scheduling will fall on you. Is that right? And Marsau said, that's not how that works. I beg to differ. Just me personally, I beg to differ. I'm saying that outside of this deposition. All right. Then he says, what about ordering materials? Who is responsible for that? Marsau said that depends on what material we're talking about. Ordering materials comes between the general contractor, the project management company, and whatever the owner is going to procure himself or herself. Okay, so there were items that the owner was going to order and provide that are materials. Marsau said correct. And then there were items that the general contractor was to provide, and the general contractor was responsible for ordering those in a timely fashion, etc. Correct. Okay, now your lawyer has mentioned several times during Mr. Shaw's deposition, C. And I'm saying C for, the big C for, all the stuff we had to, quarantine for and stuff. Okay. The attorney says, is your contention that C played some role in the delays that were experienced in meeting the deadlines? Marsau says, I don't quite know how to answer that question because based on the contract, when C was introduced and you have other things that contribute to the time being moved, then there are no delays. So in Marsau's head, there have been no delays. That's what this man has said. In my opinion, if Zen Cartons didn't depose Latisha, they dropped the ball. She couldn't talk herself out of a paper bag. Ooh, I got you. Okay, right. Couldn't put on the expo. Okay. Let's see. The attorney said, explain what you mean. Marsau said, I'm saying when time gets shifted, then there are no more delays based on the contract. That is not true. That's not how that works. The attorney says, still not following you. How has time shifted from when to when? Marsau says, based on the contract outlines a date, and it says, if things happen that are not outside of your control, and I think that we can agree, C was outside of my control. So the idea that the contract is in its entirety reads the date, and also based on your level of control. That's how he wrote it. I don't know what that man meant. That's how he wrote that sentence. Please like the video, and thank y'all for being here. The attorney says, was construction considered an essential service under the C restrictions? Marsau said construction workers are, but factory workers aren't, and construction workers depend heavily on the factory workers. The attorney says, so you're saying is C caused problems in getting materials? Is that what you're saying? Marsau said, absolutely. The attorney says, was it problems for your subs or was it just a problem for you? Real quick recall, Zen Gardens testified that their subcontractors had their materials on go because they had ordered them ahead of time. So it did not actually affect them like that. Marsau says, I don't understand how to differentiate the two. A problem for my subs. The attorney says, well, did your subs order materials? For instance, Alabama Concrete, did they have any issues with delays because of C? And Marsau says they're a vendor. And The attorney says, were they able to provide you with concrete? Marsau says, I don't know. That's not a good answer. And the attorney says, were they delayed? Marsau says, at times, based on the schedule, I think that we're trying to oversimplify this. The attorney says, I'm just trying to get an idea of what you're going to tell the jury when you go to testify. Are you going to stand up and say, well, the reason we couldn't finish the project in a timely manner and in accordance with the contract was because of C? I love this attorney. And then Marsau says, the truth is that if we're sitting on an isolated island where C had no effect on us, then I think that would be harder for the jury to believe than the fact that, yes, while Alabama Concrete may have not been affected as much, certainly the people who provide wood frame forms do, and the people who provide drywall and paint and subsidiary things that you need in order to complete a project. So the idea that C didn't affect a project in Alabama, I would like to believe that, but that's just not true. The attorney says, so yes, you're going to tell the jury that C had an effect, and that was the reason that the project was delayed. Marsau says the project wasn't delayed. And the attorney says, well, why was Martin and Kobe brought in? And the Marsau says because of the owner's inexperience in running projects, especially during a situation where you have something like C. The attorney, this is where he gets in his bag. He starts earning his hourly rate again. He says, oh, okay, the owner's inexperience. Marsau said, that's what I believe because I didn't bring Martin and Kobe in, so I can't really speak to the intention of why it was. But this was also the owner's first project as well. I think in his inexperience caused him to jump the gun. The attorney says, okay, you indicated that Mr. Shaw had interviewed. Did you say all the subcontractors or did you say some subcontractors? Marsau said, everyone to my knowledge. The attorney said, why would Mr. Shaw want to interview the subcontractors to your knowledge? Marsau says, I think he wanted to negotiate the price with him. He wanted to have control. And based on Mr. Shaw's conversation with us, he and I will work on this together. And he has started the process of interviewing some subcontractors and vendors independent of me and long before I even was brought on board. Were you familiar with Mr. Shaw's background in construction? Marsau says, I was not familiar with Mr. Shaw's actual background in construction. Were you aware that he had worked for Turner Construction for a number of years prior to getting the Zen Gardens group together? Marsau said, I was aware that he's a civil engineer that worked at a big GC firm. The attorney says substantially larger than yours. Would you agree? Turner Construction. I said, golly, earn your pay. Earn your pay. And then let's see here. He says, yes. Okay. Did you and Mr. Shaw ever discuss the type projects that he worked on when he was at Turner? Marsau said, yes, we did. Okay. And were they larger than 60 unit apartment buildings? Marsau said, yes, they were. And he's having him take a look at number 4. Okay. They're starting to get into the weeds of the numbers. So I'm going to spare y'all just a little bit to see where we start getting back to his general just questions. Let me see. Okay, Marsau is saying he did not bill Zen Gardens the amount that he still owes versus the amount that's still due. He said, so he doesn't know the exact number. He said, I need time in an Excel sheet to look at this because these numbers are populated from a different Excel sheet and I can find that number out. The attorney says, why were the subs that you say were not paid, why were they not paid? And Marsau says, because Zen didn't pay me. So the attorney says Zen didn't pay you, so you were going to pay it out of the $350,000. And Marsau was like, I was going to pay it out of the $277,000. Let me see. Then they list some people that are saying they're still owed, including Alabama Concrete. Let me see. Okay. Then it says, the attorney says, all right, so let's look at the top section. We have a creditor, and I assume that is a creditor of Scholt. Is that correct? And Marsau says that's correct. The creditor is, I guess, engineered maintenance. And it says, do you have an invoice for $4,248 that you say has not been paid? Marsau say yes. All right. He said there's a column called amount charged to Zen. Let's see. So look, he's describing the columns. There's the first column is the creditor. The second column is what Scholt owes to the creditor. And the third column is what Scholt is billing Zen Gardens. Okay. Let's see. And then it says, so you didn't send bills to Zen Garden to be paid? And Marsau said correct. So they weren't included on any of your invoices or requests for payment to Zen. And Marsau said, not a formal pay app. No, these are charges that may have happened after Zen stopped paying Scholt. I think you should know this and not it should not be a may have. Marsau thought he was gonna scan his way through this. That attorney is on his backside, Mary Kelly. Oops. Let's see. And we are getting there. We're almost done, y'all. I just wanted to let you know I should tell you the progress. We are almost done. Okay. We're getting down to it. Y'all have lasted through 85 to 90% of this. Hey, Kathy Cruel. Oh, you got me. Okay. Let me see here. So go back over the numbers. Let's see. So Marsau says that other payment is where, as part of this bill, which is $125,000, he says Scholt only charged to a certain point, which may be March, April. We can find out exactly what that is. And then it said Scholt charged Zen $9,200. What Scholt hadn't charged Zen yet, because Scholt just got the bill, was $116,000. I think they're putting some commas in some weird places. And he said it should have been a back charge because the framer broke a machine, and that should have came out of the framer's payment. And the attorney says, who was responsible for seeing that came out of the framer's payment? And Marsau said, in normal situations, the general contractor would, but since the general contractor didn't pay the framer, he said it has to be communicated outwards. He said all back charges, change orders have to be communicated outwards to the person making the payment. And the attorney says, do you know if anybody ever advised Zen that the framer broke some equipment? Marsau said yes. He said, was that done in writing? Marsau said yes. Do you have a copy of that somewhere? Marsau said, I'm quite certain I do. And the attorney says, okay, let me see if I can figure this out. So there's a figure in the middle section. Down here it says Scholt owes to creditors $263,000, $263,017.62. Now I've gone through they're interrupting themselves. I'm trying to complete their sentence. I've gone through where you show your math up here at the top, and I can't find any way to make $263,017.62 come out. So tell me how you did that. They're gonna go over their math on how they did that. I'm definitely not about to subject y'all to that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Marsau believes that the charges of around $281,000, $281,000 is, let's see, we spoke of not paying. When he spoke of not paying Scholt any longer, between that time frame, Scholt was constantly getting billed for things like equipment that is still on site, things that Mr. Shaw and other people, unbeknownst of Scott to Scholt, has made charges on my Lowe's account, and that's up to $116,000. I don't know about that. There's some brick from General Shell, some concrete cutting that one of the superintendents ordered. He said, I don't know, some other stuff for Breezeway, paint for Sherwin-Williams, which is the equipment share stuff. He said the additional unbilled amounts from Alabama Concrete, that's probably a missed invoice. He says Sunbelt Rental, I think that was for drying out drywall, and it was done by Martin and Kobe, but all those things are just things that just happen to pile up. The math ain't mathing. This is what happens when you cut and paste. Oh, your cut and paste wife is the president. Right. She do cut and paste. We know about that shipping information. She does cut and paste. Famous for copy and paste. Got you. Copy and paste. I had you though. Okay, so he's adding up all this stuff. He's saying he still owe these people. And I'm going down. He said Lowe's was charged to Scholt. Okay, then Marsau says, I believe that Zen Gardens later opened another account, and I don't know. They also opened another account at Sherwin-Williams, and I don't know. I guess the person, whoever's doing, he says, I don't know. I'm not thinking it was fraud, but he mentions the word fraud. He's trying to put it back on them. That's what he said. I think that whoever did the charge, maybe the cashier was familiar with putting it on Scholt's accounts, so they continue to put it on Scholt's accounts instead of Zen's account. The attorney says, all right, so this middle section you have for 323, and he's, okay, they're talking about their retainage owed to Scholt, more numbers. Again, he's saying he thinks those numbers include bills that he needs to get paid back to pay other people. That's what Marsau is saying. Yeah, I'm just reading it. He says, Marsau says there's an explanation for every one of the numbers, and the numbers are not incorrect. Whether we agree on the number is one thing, but the numbers are not incorrect. So I'll have to go back and look at the explanations. He says, it's been a couple of years since I've looked at this. The attorney said, well, sadly, this is my opportunity to ask you about it and figure out how we came to these figures. That's why I told you it was going to take a while on this. So the Marsau said, if I'm permitted, I can pull up my computer and we can go through it. I'm pretty sure I have the Excel document. And the attorney lets him look to see if he has the document. All right, so he may have found it because they're still going over a couple things. All right, let's see. All right, so he wants to go back to March 2020. Again, we are almost done. We have like 5 pages left. Just want to let y'all know. Let's see. What did common sense say? Because I see Aquita said for sure. Common sense. Nah, we went to Lowe's for that house. That's what I was gonna think. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of this stuff sounds criminal. I know, in my opinion, and allegedly, that's what it sounded like. Right? I know, y'all. When I read it, I'm like, all right now. Okay. It says, who was the project manager as of March 20th, 2020 for Scholt Industries on the Zen Garden project? And Marsau says, I believe we were either at the point or going to hire Mike Scott as the senior project manager. This is where the attorney corrects him and says, Michael Scott. And then Marsau says, yeah, because you remember a few hours ago, he didn't know who Mike Scott was. Marsau couldn't tell you Mike Scott was his uncle. He only referred to him as Michael Scott. And then he slipped up and called him Mike Scott just now. And the attorney was sharp. He caught it. So that was really funny to me. Okay. Then it says, Marsau says, we were kind of looking for a project manager. And well, Vishal said we didn't need a superintendent until a couple of months. And the attorney says, okay, so Michael Scott was going, or he was contemplated, or was he hired on as a senior project manager? And Marsau says, I don't know exact time frame in which Michael Scott came on board, but I believe it was probably March because I know on our first pay app, we billed for him twice. So I've got to figure out which one when he came. I don't know. Did he ever leave the job? Yes. When did he leave the job? In September or October of 2020. Was he replaced with Martin and Kobe? And Marsau says that would be 2 different entities that will replace him. There were 2 entities that replaced him. And Marsau says he was hired as a Scholt employee and Martin and Kobe was hired outside. And the attorney says they were a direct hire by Zen Gardens. Marsau says, right, with no influence from Scholt. Okay. And it says, so Michael Scott, during that time, was he remote? Marsau said yes. The attorney says he was not an on-site senior project manager. Marsau said correct. So he was in Houston. Marsau says remote. Remote from where? Was he living in Houston? Marsau said, I think he was in between Houston and Atlanta. He was remote, he wasn't on site. Hey, do I say Bliss or B-List? Marsau has no apparent expertise in your opinion, B-List. I'm telling you. Okay. He wasn't, Marsau, or the attorney said he wasn't here sitting in a trailer on the property out in Madison or on Slaughter Road. And Marsau says, as a project manager, the attorney said, right. And Marsau says, yeah, most aren't. The attorney says, but he was a remote senior project manager. All right. Who was the project manager when this project started? Marsau said, we didn't have a project manager when the project started. Did you hire one? Yes, we did. Who was it? Michael Scott. Was there anybody other than Michael Scott acting as the project manager? And then Marsau says, Vishal. And the attorney says, okay, so the GM and the owner were acting as the project manager for this project. Is that right? He says, correct. Okay. Did Michael Scott ever come to Huntsville during the course of his employ by Scholt Industries? Yes. How many times? I believe it was at least once or twice a month, but I know it was at least once a month. Did John Carroll ever work on this project? No. Did Legier Allen ever work on this project? No. Did Lindsay Neal ever work on this project? I don't know. I'll have to look. No, she didn't. She was let go right before the project. John Carroll, did he ever work on this project? Marsau said, I said no. All right. So what was Mark Scott's role? And Marsau says Mark Scott, this is not Michael Scott. Mark Scott was hired as a superintendent. Okay. Was he on site? Yes. What's his background? Has he worked in commercial construction of multi-unit or multi-family unit projects before? I don't know that offhand. I know he worked in commercial construction and multi-family units. And what did you say his position was? Superintendent. Okay. Had he ever been a superintendent on a project of this size or prior to Zen Garden project? Yes. Do you know which projects? No. Who did he work for? At the time, he worked for, I'm gonna say Gee Construction. I am not sure. Um, Also worked for Robbins and Morton for some years. Where are they located? I don't know. Okay. Does he still work for Scholt Industries? No. Was this the only project he ever worked for Scholt Industries? No. What other projects did he work on? I can't name offhand, but he works for other projects. Who is James Freeman? James Freeman is someone that Vishal and I hired. He said, you and Vishal hired him. Correct. All right. Was he a Scholt employee or was he a Zen Gardens employee? He was a Scholt employee. And what was his position? Superintendent for this project. So you have two superintendents. Marsau says no. Did you have two superintendents at the same time? No. So was James Freeman initially the superintendent and then Mark Scott became the superintendent? That's correct. Was Mark Scott remote or on site? He was on site. Was James Freeman remote or on site? On site. What about Marsau Scott? Was he remote or on site? On site. You weren't out there daily though, were you? And Marsau said I was out there probably about 60 to 70% of the time. Now y'all. Yep, Paulette, little Paulette. Yes. Hey, Tyra Daniels. Hey, God's child. We're at the finish line. We're 2 pages left. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Scott, when you were awarded this contract with Zen Gardens, would it be fair to say that this was the biggest project that Scholt Industries has worked on? Yes. And by biggest, I mean both in terms of the number of units, the size of the project, and the size of the cost of the project. Yes. And all this was going on in 2020 and early 2021, correct? And late 2021. That's what Marcella said. Yes, and late 2021. Okay. The attorney says, when did Blaque LLC come into being? 2018. And Black Bottles, 2021. Okay. He says, you told me you were filming your TV show. You started doing that in 2019 too. 2019, is that right? Or was it 2017? Marcel said, we started in probably November 2017 filming throughout 2018 and came on air in 2019. He said, are you still doing that show? Yep. Has there been a break? I mean, did you have or did you continue to film episodes during 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021? Yes. Okay. We had talked a little bit about the contractors that Scholt had hired as opposed to those that you contend that Zen Gardens had hired. The roofer. Who was the roofer? John Ragland. What's the name of his company? I don't know offhand. Did you or did he have a contract with you or Zen? I believe he had a contract with Zen. It says, think he was contracted with Zen. Okay. Do you have a copy of your subcontracts that were signed? Yes. Okay. You told me the framer was somebody, Lone Star or something out of Texas, it sounds like. Right. And they had a construction with you though, right? Yes. All right. And then what about the sheetrock folks? Who was that? The sheetrock guy and I had an agreement, but I don't know if we had a contract. I don't think he made a contract with me. I think he either made a contract with Martin and Kobe or directly with Zen. I don't recall it. All right. You don't remember who it was. And Marcel said there were several. Okay, painters, who contracted them? I contracted them originally, and then the contract was renegotiated by Vishal, and then I held that contract under the newer negotiations with Vishal. What about electricians? I had the contract with the electrician. Who was that? That was Steel Electric, and that contract was negotiated by myself and Vishal as well. Okay, their contract was with Scholt, right? Scholt, yes. Did Scholt have to hire anyone to clean up the concrete work around the sidewalks and stairs after the work had been done by the Scholt subcontractor? Yes. Okay, who was that? I don't know their name. Did you ever have to hire anybody to grind the concrete? Yes. And do you know who that contractor was? I don't know exactly the name of the contractor. Was that somebody you hired or was it somebody Martin and Kobe hired? I'm pretty sure we all worked together on that, but the contract, I forget who was hired to do it. When you were advised that Martin and Kobe were going to be brought on board, did you ever object to that? Not initially. Then Marceau says, I didn't fully understand their capacity. And the way it was explained to me was that they were coming on as a kind of oversee as construction management to provide additional support. And it wasn't until I recognized their level of competence before I made a note to Vishal of what they were bringing to the table. You said their level of competence. Yes. What was your impression of the level of competence? Well, early on, I thought that, now this is so funny because this is how some people describe Marsau, but he's trying to put it off on them. He says, well, early on, I thought that one of the guys spoke very eloquently and he was highly competent. His name was Will, and he was there, the project manager. And he said, yeah, Will McCullough. It wasn't until maybe a month or two when I started seeing holes. And then by month 3, I said, this guy has no idea what he's doing. This sounds like what somebody would say about Marsau, in my opinion. Is that him, Sabi? Oh my gosh. He said this guy has no idea what he's doing, and subsequently Vishal agreed with me and let him go. Okay, were you made aware of any problems with the flooring of any of the units? No. And by that I mean like the flooring company, the flooring coming up, rising off the subfloor. No. Okay, do you know if Mr. Petty of Petty HVAC had ever done any multifamily projects prior to being hired to do Zen Gardens? I don't know. Do you know if anything about Mr. Petty's work delayed the project because it couldn't pass inspection or they couldn't get a certificate of occupancy? I can't say that. Let's see. I think that he failed the inspection multiple times, but then again, we had citywide complaints about this inspector. So while he did fail inspections, that 2-3 week delay can't be placed all on him when you have a picky inspector. So I'd have to disagree with that. Have you ever used Mr. Petty before in any kind of, well, you hadn't done this size project, but had you ever used him before? Yes. Okay, what project? Restaurants, okay, and commercial projects. And he said, okay, but not your apartment project, so to speak. You said you were also doing home building. Is that correct? Marsau says, no, that's not correct. I thought, and the attorney says, I thought one of the things that was residential construction. You don't do residential construction? He says, I don't know where it says that. He says it's on page 720. And then it says, I know you're remodeling your house, but have you built any other houses? At this point, no. Okay, so your residential experience is remodeling the house that you're currently living in? No. Okay, what else? I have remodeled several homes, flipped several homes, did major residential construction in several areas. Have you ever had a complaint filed by anyone with the Home Builders Licensure Board? He says no. Have you ever had a complaint? Oh, sorry. The attorney says, what is OSHA 300? And Marsau says, I don't know. I think it should be OSHA 30. And the attorney says, what is OSHA 30? And Marsau says, it's a compliance for safety specs, making sure people are following safety protocol on job sites and are aware of it. That's very funny when Marsau just filmed himself on a live in some sneakers at a construction site instead of steel-toe boots. Have you done any projects in Tennessee? Yes. He says several commercial and residential construction projects. And the attorney says any multi-unit projects the size of Zen Gardens. Marsau, he getting a little smart. He was like, I spoke that this was my first one, so no. And the attorney says you haven't done one since Zen Gardens. And he said, no, left a bad taste in my mouth. I bet it did. A lot don't care who tell it. Let me talk to Vishal. Oh, Mr. Rogers said he wanted to go talk to his client, Vishal, real fast, which is Zen Gardens. Then he came back. Are you familiar with Martin and Kobe? I know you are from this project, but did you know Martin and Kobe before? And he said he's seen the name. And the attorney said, okay, when they were brought on, what was your understanding their role was going to be? And Marsau said, acting in the capacity of a project manager, from what I understood. Had Zen Gardens mentioned to you they were unhappy with the setup with the senior remote project or senior project manager being remote? And he said, in September, I think Vishal told me that. Yes, at that point, Vishal told me in September that he didn't want the senior project being remote and that I was to fire him because he wasn't paying him anymore. Okay, who is Val Collier? Val Collier worked with Martin and Kobe. What was his role? I don't know exactly. I think he was assistant superintendent or superintendent. Okay. And then he said, tell me, what were your duties once Martin and Kobe came on? And Marsau says, Vishal expressed to me that he no longer had confidence in me running the daily operation. So we were scheduled to have a 4:00 meeting with Martin and Kobe every day in which he take direction from Martin and Kobe and kind of to the best of his ability, keep me in the loop. And at that point, were you still receiving payments from Zen so that you could pay your subcontractors? At that point, Zen was in the process, but kind of paying the subcontractors behind my back and negotiating with them behind my back. Okay, did you receive any payments after Martin and Kobe came on that you distributed amongst your subs? And Marsau says, are you saying vendors or subs? And he said, either. And Marsau said throughout this, yes, I did. That was a specific date question and he didn't answer it to me. Okay, and you may not have an exact figure, but I want your best estimate as to how much money came from Zen to Scholt that went out to the subcontractors. Marsau did not respond. It says no response. And then the attorney said, was it millions of dollars? And then Marsau said, well, I would say about maybe 3 to 4 million. And okay. Then the attorney says 3 to 3.5, 4 million, something like that. Marsau says maybe something like that. Okay. Do you know what the final cost of the project was at Zen Gardens? I don't know what the final true cost was. No. Do you know if it was in excess of 10 million? And Marsau says, I don't. Would you agree with me that if it was in excess of 10,318,603, that it would exceed the guaranteed maximum price? No. Oh, you don't? He says, no, I agree that if it was in an excess of 10,318 and it wasn't due to the owner spending it, then it would exceed guaranteed maximum price. But the portion the contractors expended was not over 10,318. And the attorney says, I don't know what else to ask you, so I'm going to quit. And Marsau says, all right. So they ended at 4:50 p.m. and we are done. We made it. We made it. First of all, let me give y'all my, for all the super chats, super stickers, and everything, the cash apps.
All right, we going. What a money reside. What a money reside. What a money reside. What a money reside.
I thank y'all. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Did I miss something? Where's Marsau Records and Books, Joyce? It's a whole cluster. It's a Charlie Fox trot out here, Joyce Miles. I don't know. Thank you. Thank y'all. I wouldn't know what else to ask you. Right. I'm gonna catch up on y'all comments because now if anybody wants to leave, we got through it. So I'm gonna catch up on some of y'all comments. So what projects has he done are within the $17 million profit? Right. Good question. Oh my gosh. Good question, God's child. Shan, thanks. I'm gonna go back and listen. Oh, thank you, Elisa. Thank you, Kevin Moore. Let's go, Trendy Tribe, where the blessings reside, It was a lot, Deshonda. We made it through. In order to keep up, review all parts. Oh, yes, because part 3 is next Friday. If you decide to attend, that's where Marsau and his attorney lays out why they think they should get their contractor's fee based on this and the other testimony. And to me, I'm like, nah, but we're going to go over it. Thank you very much, Ebony. Thank you, Terry T. Baby Davis. Love Loda. Is it Love Loda? Love Iota? I like your name either way. Thank you. Hey, Love Keith. Thank you. Thank you, Annette. My. Right, Girlfriend Chronicles. Y'all, if y'all are content creators, I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's not letting y'all drop links. I'll have to look up YouTube stuff to see because I didn't intentionally block links not being able to be dropped. So at least let people know you're a content creator in the chat. So they can at least try to search your name. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's not letting links drop though. I didn't put a set manually. So I gotta see what is that. I don't know. Kathy said, in other words, Marsau took from Zen Gardens and didn't pay. Look, allegedly, Kathy, allegedly. He paid some. There is proof he paid a little bit, but I think those payments stopped, possibly. Thank you, S. Jackson. Thank you. Thank you, Common Sense. Thank you, Joyce Jones. Thank you, Billy. Yes. And y'all stayed, so y'all already knew it was gonna be some giggling because I had got a comment just like it's Chrissy time. Somebody said, "Can you stop giggling respectfully?" I'm like, I can't. It's in me. Congratulations for getting through this. Thank you, Professor Demita Joe. Yeah, Tay. Thank you, Patricia T. Thank you, Aquita. Woo, they did say 17 million. The math wasn't mathing. Thank you, Vi. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, thank you to Mr. Training for being that moral support in the background. Juicy Soul Star. Hey, Joyce Miles, Training of Others, you need to get paralegal certification. Thank you. Thank you, Mika. Thank you, S. Jackson. Thank you, Bad Apple. You know I've been missing you, Bad Apple. Straight comical laughs. Yes. Mary White. He never complete. Right. It just goes back. It's so funny. Her words. Revelation 2023. Telling you, I can't wait for this to go to trial. I know. And they have a deadline to get all their stuff done. Right now it says October 2nd. They may get it in earlier, but I'll try to keep an eye on the dates. And I'm sure some other people will keep their eye on the dates too. And I'll just be waiting to share. Thank you, Deshonda. Just getting started. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Pinky. Thank you, Native One. Y'all are so sweet. Hey, Miss Main Event. Okay, you say you'll find the link and drop the name of your channels. Oh, Shan, thank you. I see an orange jumpsuit. Hey, who said that? Oh, thank you, Girlfriend Chronicles, for sticking around and subbing. Thank you. I think, and Lil Paulette in the game, I like your name. That is too cute. I think it's YouTube, not you. Oh, thank you. I will still check though. I'm gonna see, can people just drop links in a chat that are not mods? I will still research that. That bothers me. That does. Oh, thank you, S. Jackson. I appreciate it, because I took it out on some edited stuff sometimes, but I can't do it live. I like talking to y'all. Sabi, I meant Tyler, but you know Marsau doesn't. Y'all crazy. Okay, I'm catching up because now we done, so I ain't taking up nobody's time no more. Hostile Deception 101. Ooh, B-list. I certainly will be here for part 3. Thank you. Oh, thank you, guys, child. Thank you, bye. Yes. I think so, Tay-Tay. Bye, Mary. Oh, and I'm sorry, you talking to who said that, but thank you for being here, Mary Kelly. And Arletta, I don't know if I said hey, but hey, Tyra Daniels. Thank you, Claudia. Minerva, I enjoyed that getting played by Zen. You're very welcome, Minerva. Very welcome. Hey, thank you for the super chat, 41 Fit Coffee for Mr. Trending Rock. Oh, I'll give it to him, but he ain't gonna let me live it down over here trying to. No, I'm playing. You know, he definitely is my moral support for real. So yes, he's gonna be too thrilled. Thank you, Donna. I would hate to be the jurors on this case. I don't know. This might be a shorter case, Veronica. Hey, talking out loud. How are you, my other Leo sister? Black and the newly renovated house is about to be gone. Miss Cutie Pie. I pray the Zoom. Oh, if we could look in. Oh, that would be so nice. Is on your heels. I wonder Marcel sleeping at night. I don't know, so star. He always act like he sleep just fine at night. He acts like it, but I feel like it does bother him. I do. I see him returning those veneers. Bottom row, so only the mods. Oh, okay, thank you, Shane. Only the mods can drop links. Okay, y'all. Well, y'all identify yourselves, and as fast as we can, we'll get your links dropped in there, because you know we just try to be over here and just chill with each other. I'll live, laugh, love, and thank you for and I know maybe someone else tried to answer the questions too, but the chat moved fast and it was a blessing. Thank you, sis, for coming out the bushes to tell me about the maximum, because I was like, I think I'm getting it right. Thank you, Mama V. Thank you, Annette. Y'all have a safe night as well. And I think Chit Chat got a live, so I better get my stuff done. I'll discover it's being before the trial starts, right? So that's probably the October 2nd date, Elisa. Who's going to cover the trial? Oh, yeah, I think Black Titanic, here for the hot tea. Honestly, I think it's going to be a collaborative effort, because you already know I'm going to still try to keep my nose in there if I can. But yeah, now Black Titanic is back in Georgia now, but I know some of y'all are out there at Huntsville too. I feel like we going to know. Somebody's going to let us know, and we'll just share the love and share the information. Thank you, Liddell. I'm so glad you could be here. Creole girl, thank you. Thank you, Tyra Daniels. I love that my husband joins y'all with the Shirley listen. Oh, cool. I'm so glad. Your husband is cool too, Christy. Let me see. Okay. Native One, good to see you again. Yep, Live, Laugh, Love is a content creator. You can search her. If you search Live, Laugh, Love Leo, you can find her easy. more easily in case I know they're cycling through the links. But yes, Live Laugh Love is a content creator. She is awesome. She's also a, she's just a good time, Tawana 908. Get that. Yes, set them notifications. Yes. And since y'all are still here, I'll let me see if I have my link saved, or was I too lazy to get it? Was I too lazy? I was probably too lazy. I think I was too lazy. Hold on, let me get it for y'all that's still in here. I'll grab it real fast for part 3, so you can just set your bell and we don't even have to worry about it. Hold on, let me see. Okay, here's the link to part 3, which is next Friday, because tomorrow one of my trendies is telling her story. Sean Fennell, she's telling her story. She is a mother of children with autism, and she's going to give out resources. Well, she has adult children now too, so she's going to give out resources. Yeah, little Paulette. Okay, Leo, she's going to give out resources as well, and I can't wait. I would have to say the group has made it a safe space to tell their stories, because it still has to be them too, how people are in the chat and everything. So it's a collective effort. Marsau been drunk, but he really about to be in the baller. He about to be in the baller, talking out loud. He really gonna be in that chocolate in the baller. And I heard that their stuff is ending, but I don't know for sure, but I have heard it. Miss Maidavin was in the bushes. I appreciate you. He not getting a dime. He does not know how to do booking. Yep, you're a vibe all the time, Live, Laugh, Love. Marsau gonna be representing on new drink glass in the mouth. I know. Leo, I'm going. Yes. Okay. Oh, I got to the bottom. I made it, y'all. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna play the song and I'll highlight any more extra comments on the way out. I got one more thing to say to Marsau. One more thing, and it's super short.
I was shocked, honey. I was in tears almost. And they had a white refrigerator. I was like, oh, not a white refrigerator. Girl, please put your shoes on. Let's go find you a home, honey. Ooh, Lord.
White refrigerator. That was a white refrigerator. He probably went home and told Tisha everything went well. Oh, Chrissy. Yes. Dana said, great reporting. Thank you, Dana. The ghetto. Bye. Y'all have a blessed night too. I'll see some of y'all in Chit Chat's chat. But yes, I'm already subscribed to her. Oh, nice. Good. Set that bell, Mary Kelly. Yes. Team Twirl. Hey, stop it, Live, Laugh, Love. You better stop. Get off Team Twirl. All right, y'all. I'll play the outro music and let y'all go on. Replay game. I'll have the timestamp drop for you. Okay. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Hannah Grace. Talk to y'all later. And thank you. Y'all have been so supportive. See y'all soon. Bye.
I've been taking my time. Taking all of your time, I've been taking my time, Taking all of your time, I've been talking about it for a while. Before we take a chance to do it, before we looking back as foolish, I've been talking about it for a while. Before we take a chance to do it, before we looking back as foolish, we got me floating, and I can take it. You got me floating, and I can't take it. You got me floating, and I can take it. You got me floating, and I can't take it. I've been taking my time,